Done for Tobago. The oppressors you see today, don't worry, tomorrow they'd be gone. As the walls surround Jerusalem, soldiers surrounds Tobago. Pain him, let his people go. He deep his patterns, face off with Pharaoh. Call forces candidates, 12 valiant soldiers, full of integrity. PNM, Tobagonians not afraid of victimization, protected by the higher man. As the walls surround Jerusalem, soldiers surrounds Tobago. PNM let his people go. PDP's patterns, face off with Pharaoh. We fight for a change. Tobago, we need a change.
The technocrats after you. We will fight for you.
We fight for a change. Tobago, we need a change.
The technocrats after you. We will fight for you.
We fight for every child, every family.
Girl,
PNM, you have been weighing the balances and found deficient. Tears in collaboration with Dizzy. Yeah, PDP all the way.
What's in you? PDP. What that say? Hey, do you know Mr. Watson Juke? That man just talk the truth. He's a man go tell you flat. Let we bring Tobago back. Time for we to bust the throat. Up to now they buy a boat. Let we vote for the PDP. They go take care of all our we. From Tobago he take a swim. So everybody let me vote for him. And come on, we must agree. Let me vote for the PDP and let me take back Tobago. And let me bring back Tobago. And let me take back Tobago. PDP take back Tobago. And let me take back Tobago. And let me bring back Tobago. From now till tomorrow, PDP let me love up Tobago. Hey, you ever hear about the PDP? They go take care of all our we. They go make sure that we straight and restore back all the faith. Watson Juki have a plan to help all Tobagonians. He understand what we need. So let we help the Tobago seed and let we take back Tobago. And let we love up Tobago. And let we bring back Tobago. Bring back all the love in Tobago. Somebody say PDP. PDP. That's we party. That's we party. Somebody say what's in Juke. What's in Juke. We moving with what's in Juke. That's the truth. Tell them. And do you know Mr. Watson Juke? That man just talk the truth. He's a man go tell you flat. Stop riding the jackass back. Tobago need independence. Don't want to action it out for 1 cent. Lay salaries and the healthcare. He go fix that once we put him there. Build back Tobago. Let me fix back Tobago. And let me bring back Tobago. Bring back all the love in Tobago. Somebody You know, long time ago, we want to sustain ourselves. Don't depend on no one else. Fighting for self-governance, and we want independence. So we could decide how we live. Fix we own air and sea bridge, and let we take back Tobago. And let we love up Tobago. From now on tomorrow, tell them let we bring back Tobago. Somebody say PDP, say PDP. That's we party, must agree. Somebody say Watson Duke, say Watson Duke. Will help the youth, that's the truth. Say, and do you know about Tobago? Let me tell you about Tobago. We really love up with Tobago. Yes, I know, pay much mother than PDP.
For far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term, and we still crying out. PDP forever and ever. I will never ever vote the oppressor, the slave master. What a disaster. Tobago, we are the head and not the tail. Let's demand the change. Set our speeches and promises again and again. To no avail. Election games. Hey! East and West, please listen to me. Prepare either way, it's 2020. Watson, Duke and Tashia Boris. Flush away, pen them in the toilet. All they want is we vote and to full their pocket. But people before politics, that is we stick. The needs of the people is the priority. How much roof done cover, fisherman boat fix. PDP forever and ever. I will never ever vote the oppressor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, everyone who is listening to us on the radio and on Facebook. I am Dr. Faith B. Israel, and I'll be taking the couple hours tuning in on behalf of Mr. Watson Duke this morning. You know that the PDP Spartans are a team, and when we need to rumble, we rumble. So Mr. Duke is in Trinidad now, cutting people head as usual. So we are in Tobago filling in for him this morning. If you are on Facebook following me, hi everyone, morning. Please share the live. Please share the Facebook live on my professional page, Dr. Faith B. Israel. If you are watching from YouTube, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Street 91.9 Tobago live stream. So we are here today and we are here to talk about this thing that is happening in a couple days. This thing that they have called upon us earlier. I realize that the man called the election kind of early, right? We are accustomed to having it in like September and August and September and so. And he suddenly jumped out. All are we thinking that we're still in COVID? All are we thinking that we still need a lockdown? All are we thinking that, you know, that is what we're doing? And then suddenly I realize the man jump on and say, hey, election is August 10th. Election is August 10th. So what we are doing, and you know, is that he really thought he would have catch the PDP by surprise. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Trinidad. I don't know what's going on with them in Trinidad. I don't know what's going on with the other parties in Trinidad. But PDP has been on the ground from day one. We never left the ground. So we are prepared for these elections. We are prepared for anything they throw at us. We are prepared because we know that we are fighting on behalf of the people of Tobago. That is our main purpose, to build a better Tobago, and we are asking each and every one of you to be a part of that. We are asking each and every one of you to join us on this journey as we build a better Tobago. Just to give a little bit of history, we all know that at the last general elections, Mr. Duke, the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, started with one man with a blowhorn and one truck, thanks to Shorty, who has been a faithful servant of the people of Tobago since then. And he had a vision to come and fight on behalf of the people of Tobago. And he did that. He contested the elections as an independent in 2015. And he did, you know what, forgive my French, a damn good job in 2015. He then marshaled a group of us, including myself, in 2016 to then try to contest the Tobago House of Assembly elections in 2017. January 2017, after forming the Progressive Democratic Patriots. You all listen to that. The name name of the party is the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Every one of those words means something important to each of us who are part of this movement. He pulled together 11 other Spartans with himself to contest the 2017 THA elections. And you know what? We did a real good job because we didn't have any money. We didn't have any money then, and by the way, we really don't have no money right now. We didn't have any money then, but we were able to pull through two whole seats. 2 whole seats from the PNM, who had a 12-0 victory a couple years before. We were able to wrestle 2 seats from them, and those 2 seats belong to Mr. Watson Duke, Roxborough Delaford, and Mr. Farley Chavez Augustin in Speyside, Lansford, Charlottesville, that area. And guess what? My seat, I contested the Goodwood Bell Garden seat, and the official results says that I lost by 5 votes. The official result says that I lost the election by 5 votes. So we won 2 seats. We wrestled those 2 seats out of the hands of the evil Red Party. And we came so close. And honestly, if you ask me, I think we win. But you know, things has happened. But because it was so close, they could say that it is a victory for them, even by 5. And this is why I want to convince all of us. We can't allow that to happen ever, ever, ever again. We can't allow them to steal an election from us ever, ever, ever again. We cannot allow them to do that. And the only way to stop them from doing that is to ensure that when August 10th comes out, the first thing you do in the morning, you get up early, say your prayers, take your sea bath, do whatever you're accustomed to do very, very early in the morning, and ensure that you get your royal nenen up and get to your polling station by 6 o'clock. There should be a mob there waiting at 6 o'clock to be the first person to cast their vote. Because if we go out, if every single person who does not agree with what has been happening on this island of Tobago for the last 20 years, if every person who realizes that our economy has practically crashed, if every single person who realizes that what tourism is practically nothing right now, if every person who realizes that our health centers and our health facilities is not providing the kind of world-class service that we as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago expect, if every citizen who realizes that when we're trying to buy food, it seems like every single day you go to the grocery, you find that the food costs more. If every single citizen of Tobago who resides in Tobago, who agrees that what we've had for the last 20 years has not worked for us, if every single one of you get up and vote on election day, those people will be gone. Those people, those red people will be gone. And that is why we are here. That is why the Spartan team came about. That is why we decided to put life and limb, to risk life and limb, to fight for Tobago. That is why we are doing this. And that is why on August 10th, we are asking you to go out and vote for 2 candidates. 2 PDP, Progressive Democratic Patriots candidate. We are asking you to vote for Mr. Watson Duke in the East. And we all know that Mr. Watson Duke has the will and the fight in him. We have seen him battle everybody, and he comes out victorious. Imagine that man fighting on behalf of Tobago in the parliament. So we want you to vote for Mr. Watson Duke in the East, and we have found the lioness. We have found a woman that is such a roar, a woman that is such a powerhouse. She probably little, I know when all you see she in real life, you ain't gonna realize how tiny she is. But that woman comes with such might, and that woman comes with such power that every single one of you knows that when she speaks in that parliament on behalf of you, it is going to be good words. It's going to be truly representing you and your needs. So that is why we want you, everybody in Tobago West, every single business person whose business has been crushed for the last couple years. Every single hotelier who has empty hotels, every single grocery store who trying to figure out how to keep the stocks on their shelves, every single fisherman who has to figure out how they're getting gas to fill the tank, every single one of you who is being moved from your lands here down at this airport for this new airport that they have so unfairly stolen from you. Every single one of you, I need you to go out and to vote resoundingly for Miss Tashia Grace Burris. Yes, you may not know her personally, but did you know any of the representatives before personally? Can we say that every single one of you who voted for them knew them personally? Know that because we are part of this team where we are doing this for you, we are doing this for each and every one of you. It means that you have to also stand up. You have to also stand with us. And on August 10th, let your voice, let your anger, let your everything be known on August 10th, because you are going to go out and you are going to vote for the Progressive Democratic Patriots. And I'm going to turn, for those of you who are looking at me on Facebook, the symbol is the bamboo bulife. That is what you're looking for. The symbol is the bamboo bulife. The bamboo frames with the bulife. All you know is bulife way in Tobago. All you know is a bulife is a light. It's something that guides you. It's something that drives out darkness. It is something that brings you to comfort. It is something that does get rid of mosquito. It is something that allows you to see your way. And that is what the Progressive Democratic Patriots is bringing to you. And we are asking you on August 10th, to go out and resoundingly vote for Tashia Grace Roberts in the West and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke in the East. That is all we are asking. As a matter of fact, we're not even asking. We are begging you on your behalf, on behalf of every single Tobagonian, on behalf of your children and your grandchildren, because for many of us, we are already there. We've already made it. We've already decided, well, such is life, so we will just continue. But we are asking you to vote on behalf of those who are coming. Vote on behalf of your grandparent who needs to get to the hospital because of whatever their ailment is. You might be fine, but vote for them because they need the change. They absolutely need the change. So yesterday, Mr. Watson Duke, the fearless political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, highlighted the fact that, everybody else has been talking about their 100-day plan. Everybody else has been telling you about what they kind of plan to do in the first 100 days of being in office. But we in the Progressive Democratic Patriots, what we have done is identified the fact that these two seats, and I'll take a second to talk about that because I need everybody who is listening to me to understand the power of these two Tobago seats. Every single time we've had a Tobago, a real Tobago, I ain't talking about them who said they're from Tobago, a real Tobago party holding these two Tobago East and Tobago West seats. Tobago's development has prospered. We actually got the first round of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. We got the second round of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. We got the Dispute Resolution Committee, which shows the ruling of the Dispute Resolution Commission that shows that Tobago should be getting between 4.03 and 6.9% of the national budget. Every single time we Tobago have given these two Tobago seats to people who are not, and I'm going to say it very clearly, people who are not part of the Red Party, people who are not part of that Tobago, that Trinidad-based, Trinidad-ruled party, who just happen to have a branch in Tobago. Every time Tobago has wrestled the seats from that Red Party and given it to true Tobagonians, Tobago's development happened. Tobago was blessed Tobago recognize that yes, we can get what we are asking for. And you have an opportunity now, Tobago, to put yourself in that position for a second time, a third time. You have the opportunity now, Tobago, to give yourself that opportunity. And let me explain why. Yes, we have 41 seats total in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. Sure. And when those 2 seats belong to those on the red side, those people become cabinet members as they are now. Those people recognize as soon as they go to Trinidad, it's like they eat milk. Or they ever teeth milk, teeth plenty powdered milk and trying to hide with it, or teeth peanut butter and trying to hide with it. What it does though? It just close down your mouth. So it feels like whenever those people get those 2 seats, the mouth just close. Like they just put a whole set of peanut butter in the mouth just before they hit the plane or hit the boat to go down Trinidad. And it means every time they get there, they stay quiet. They stay very, very quiet. What we are doing on the other side, what we are doing in the Progressive Democratic Patriots, is ensuring that we send 2 people down there who really don't care about nothing but them 2 parties down in Trinidad. We'll be honest. What they do down in Trinidad, that is their business, because the Progressive Democratic Patriots is here to see about the business of Tobago. We are Tobagonian first and everything else after. Let me repeat, we are Tobagonians first and everything else after. It means that when these 2 people, if you, Tobago, on August 10th elect Mr. Watson Duke and Mr. Shea Boris and send them to Trinidad, they are going to Trinidad to speak on behalf of Tobago and Tobago issues first. How are we doing that? Let's look a little bit. If you recognize all of the quote-unquote polls that are being done in Trinidad, realize that the 2 parties down in Trinidad, the 2 main parties, the UNC and the PNM, they are pretty much in almost a dead heat. They'll get very, 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 very close. Very, 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 very close. It means that the 2 Tobago seats, the Tobago East and West seats, will be the seats that decide who becomes the government. And I want you all to pay very close attention to me. The 2 Tobago seats are going to be the seats that decide who becomes the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This means that the 2 Tobago seats will be worth more than every one of those 39 seats in Trinidad. Don't let them fool you. I hear those on the other side, the red side, talking all kind of foolishness, trying to convince you that these 2 seats are worth nothing. And that should tell you how they feel about you. Your vote is worth nothing to them. Because after you've given them your vote, they go to Trinidad and they speak on behalf of the party and they don't speak on behalf of you. So I want you to be very careful when they say it means nothing. When they say giving the PDP those 2 seats, it would mean nothing. What they are really saying is that your vote, you Tobago, every single one of you who may do it, means nothing to them. And you cannot give your vote to people who are telling you up front that your vote means nothing. You cannot do that. You cannot allow them to one, they're trying to, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to let you end vote. They're trying to let you stay home. They're trying to let you get up on August 10th and say, you see me, them 2 seats, they ain't really mean nothing, and so I ain't gonna vote for the PDP. No. That is what they are telling you, but they are secretly in their corner talking to their people, telling them that these 2 seats mean the most and telling their people to go out and vote. So why they public you telling you not to go out and vote? They are telling their red people to vote. Don't take chain up. Don't take that kind of stupid chain up at all, Tobago, because we are more sense than that. We are internet now. We have access to more information. Before, when they used to come and just pave the road the week before election and think that used to fool we. But we're not stupid like that again. I have always said that Tobagonians have been very, very bright people. And this is one opportunity for you to show the world Tobago that you are bright and you understand your worth. Because giving the Progressive Democratic Patriots these 2 seats means that you are giving a party that is seeking to put Tobago above anything else, about our personal gain above anything else. We are seeking to put Tobago back on the national agenda. Because what we've seen for the far too long is that Tobago has not been on the national agenda at all. And with the 2 representatives that are there now who have been eating a whole lot of peanut butter, shows that Tobago is not on the national agenda. Giving PDP those 2 seats means that PDP will be the ones who determine who the government is. And let me be honest, let me tell you something. Part of that process to determine, as Mr. Duke said last week or the week before on a radio, on an interview that he did, we don't care, to be honest, which of those parties we give the 2 seats. Do you know why? Because we are going to negotiate with those 2 parties to see which one gives us what we want for Tobago. That is what we are willing to do. We are going to negotiate with those 2 parties to see, well, you go to one and you know that Mr. Duke, who is the head of the PSA, is the master negotiator. We know that, right? He is the master negotiator. So we go to one and say, hey, Olia, we want so, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that we want for Tobago a little later. We want so. What you gonna do? We want so in the budget. What you gonna do? We want this THA Act to amend. What you gonna do? So we go to one and say, what you gonna do? And we negotiate, and we go to the other and say, well, what all you gonna do? And we negotiate. And the one that comes closest to what is absolutely necessary for us, that is the one that we go with. Now, the good thing about that, let me tell you one time, the good thing about that is because we are Tobago first and everything else later, if we recognize that the one that we go with playing a fool at itself, if we recognize that after we negotiate and after we do all of that, they turn around and do their own thing, we can easily say, all you that's how all you're doing it, that's how all you're doing it, all you feel is fools, and we can again pull those 2 seats right back. Pull those 2 seats right back. And we realize when we pull those 2 seats right back, we will recognize we now have a situation where they are not in the government. So we pull those 2 seats back. They are not in the government. And we go from there. I'm seeing a call coming in on WhatsApp. I am going to try to answer that call. I'm going to try to see how we can do this. Hello?
Election games, for far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term, and we still crying out. For far too long.
So, guys, this is my first day back out here, and all of this accoutrement that going on here, I'm going to need a little bit of help. Mega, check me out. Let me WhatsApp Mega and let Mega come in and check me. So, guys, as I was saying, these 2 seats are going to be the deciding factor. And Mr. Duke yesterday started speaking about the fact that we are not talking about any 100-day plan. We are talking about a plan that we can execute within the first 30 days. Because we know that these seats mean so much that when we agree, when we say, well, this is what we're doing for the 30 days, this is what we agree on with whoever party in Trinidad we're working with, if we realize the 30 days happening the 30 days coming and come to an end, and they are not holding up their end of the bargain, we then say, okay, or let's end serious, or let's not put in Tobago's agenda on the national agenda. So we pull these 2 seats and go to the next one to say, okay, well, them they ain't ready. Let me see what we could do with you. And we know that with Mr. Duke in the Parliament, with Mr. Duke and Tashia in the Parliament, we can do it. We will make that decision. We will do that. So, how do we do this? We recognize that currently, for the last couple years, we have had for the last couple decades, not even the last couple years, the last couple decades, we have had the Tobago Autonomy Bill, the THA Act, the different versions of this thing being in the wilderness. The last go around of it started in 2017, where the Tobago House of Assembly sent a draft bill to Trinidad. The Tobago House of Assembly sent a draft bill to Trinidad. They finally, that was in 2018. They finally put it on the agenda. They finally put it on the parliamentary agenda. Then they said to us they are sending it to a select committee, a joint select committee to review it. Now, that is a normal thing, That is a normal thing that happens to bills. What happened with Tobago, though, is that instead of it going to the special select committee and coming out quick, then going to Parliament for them to vote, it has been at the special select committee since 2018. Since 2018, it has been at the special select committee. So, when we thought that by 2018 they would have done something about it, we recognized that they didn't do anything about it. And it is still sitting there to the point where Mr. Rowley could have prorogued Parliament a couple weeks ago, and that means that that bill is not going anywhere. It is just sitting there. The fact that Parliament has been prorogued, meaning that Parliament has ended. That is why we could have elections now. It means that that bill is going absolutely nowhere. What does that mean, though? It means that nothing. They done. They throw up their hands, and that is it for Tobago and that Tobago Autonomy Bill. What the Progressive Democratic Patriots and what the Minority Council of the Tobago House of Assembly, which includes Mr. Watson Duke, Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine, and myself, one of the things we have been speaking about in the Tobago House of Assembly is the fact that we understood that this was a process. We understood that it was going to take a special majority in Parliament to have this bill passed, because it's a bill that affects the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. We understood that. But we also understand right now, and this is where Tobago, I need you to pay very, very, very special attention to me. We also understand that the current Tobago House of Assembly Act, which is the law that gives the Tobago House of Assembly the authority to do what it does, the current Tobago House of Assembly Act is an act of Parliament. And because it is not going to change the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, all we need is a simple majority to amend certain parts of the act. You all listen to me. Listen carefully. Again, this is why these 2 seats can mean the difference between Tobago moving a step closer to where we've always wanted. You all pay close attention to me. So we know, because we could read ourselves, but we also have people giving us sound advice and that kind of thing. The Tobago House of Assembly Act is an entity. It's an act of Parliament. It's an act of Parliament. It is not enshrined in the Constitution. And because it is not enshrined in the Constitution, it is just an act of Parliament. It means that to amend it, all we need is a simple majority. And by simple majority, we mean one more than half of the 41. one more than half of the 41, which to win the election, it means you would have had one more than half at least of the 41. So we are going into this election with those 2 Tobago seats with a commitment from the Tobago East and Tobago West to vote for the changes that we are requesting, because whoever we loan those seats to, whichever political party in Trinidad that we negotiate with and we work with, we expect them to vote to make these changes in the Tobago House of Assembly Act. And as I said before, amending the Tobago House of Assembly Act is a thing that requires a simple majority, which means one more than half. And we know that when we join the 2 Tobago seats with whichever party in Trinidad and the seats they have, we would have one more than half. So those are the things we are trying to do. Now, we want to amend the act to do several things. One of it has to do with money, and I'm starting with the money part. Because I said earlier that we currently have a situation where the Tobago House of Assembly took the central government in essence to court, and we are required by law to get between 4.03 to 6.9% of the national budget. If you look at all of the budgets for the last umpteen years, you would recognize that almost all of them is exactly 4.03 or just above 4.03. If you ain't believe me, don't doubt me. Go and look for it yourself. I personally feel that the government in Trinidad does know what their larger budget is, just decide what 4.03% is of that, and then divide that among the divisions in Tobago. Because when you add it up, it always comes up to exactly 4.03 or a little above. I don't think, and you all could correct me if I'm wrong, I do not think we've ever been in a position where we got close to 6%. We've gotten a 4 point something. I think we've gotten close to 5% before. I am not even sure we've ever gotten above the 5%. But we have been getting the 4.03 all these years. They never one day say, okay, let me get them a bly. Let me get them a bly and get them a little bit more. Because we know that they have work to do. We know that they have mass development to do. Let me get them closer to the 6.9%. It has never happened. All of the developmental spending that happens in Trinidad and Tobago happens in Trinidad. We have been asking for over $1 billion in developmental funding every year. And every year for the last couple of years, we've been getting a couple $100 million. We've been getting, I think the last count was 16%. 16% of what we asked for is what we got for developmental spending. Imagine you need $100 to go and do something, and your husband come home as a housewife. Your husband come home and give you $16. Give you $16 when you know is $100 you asked for. You don't budget out where the $100 going. You don't realize that even the $100 mightn't be enough to do everything that you need. And the man come home and give $16. That is what we have been dealing with in Tobago for the last umpteen years. And remember, we have to be clear. PNM has been in Tobago, has been in charge in Tobago for the last 20 years. And for 15 of those years, it was PNM in Tobago, PNM in Trinidad. So don't let it come with the Nancy story. I know they always love to blame UNC for everything. But of the 20 years that PNM has been in charge in Tobago, 15 of those years has been PNM in Trinidad. And if I'm not mistaken, the couple times where we got closer to the 5% was when UNC was there. If I'm not mistaken. And that is what has been happening. So one of the first things the Progressive Democratic Patriots will do with Mr. Shea Grace Boris and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke in the Parliament representing for us is to advocate to have the Tobago House of Assembly Act changed to ask to demand that for the first time in ever that the Tobago House of Assembly gets 10% of the budget. gets 10% of the budget. Remember, we've been getting the 4.03, and remember, even to get the 4.03, we had to take them to court. I am sure many of you remember, or many of you may not know, but your parents and your grandparents would know about how hard it was to get to salaries at a certain point in Tobago. Because in Trinidad, there was vex. They did vex that Tobagonians did vote against the PNM, and Dr. Rowley and Dr. Eric Williams and them basically told us all you need to eat grass. And they made sure that people suffered in Tobago. And after all of that, while begging and trying to negotiate and trying everything, we had to take them to court to even get the 4.03 to 6.9. And we have never gotten the 6.9. We've never gotten 6. I am not even sure we ever get 5.5. We have never. And Tobago is, if anybody who looks at this island, Tobago, yes, it's a capital of paradise. Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place. Yes, it is good. Yes, we all love it. But if you look at the development that is happening in Trinidad, and you compare it to the development that is happening in Tobago, you will recognize that Tobago needs to play catch up. And if this is Trinidad and Tobago, where all our ways one family, where we're supposed to be side by side and not one behind the other, where every creed and race is supposed to have an equal place, it is only fair that Tobago gets a little bit of wiggle room for us to really, really develop. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for anything out of the way. That is all that we are asking for. We want a little bit of wiggle room. That's all we're asking for. A little bit of wiggle room. So when we go down, one of the things we are going to advocate for is that the Tobago House of Assembly gets 10% of the national budget. 10% of the national budget. And if we get 10% of the national budget, we can finally say that Tobago is developing. Tobago would have a little bit more money to do the things that we need to do. And guess what? Mr. Duke talks about the 30-day plan. That is something that we can do in 30 days, because we could ensure that either the first bill that goes to Parliament or the second bill that goes to Parliament is that bill that is there to amend the THA Act. First bill or the second bill, remember. And let it don't tell you that we can't do it don't let it tell you we can't do it in 30 days. Because you remember, in December, they were able to draft a marijuana bill. They were able to redraft it and make the changes. Because remember when they was talking about male plants versus female plants, they were able to take it to Parliament to have it passed, both in the upper and lower house. And they were able to pass it. They were able to bring out, I think they had to bring out the president on a Saturday or a Sunday to sign it. And under 30 days, they were able to give us that marijuana bill. So let nobody don't tell you that we cannot get a bill done in under 30 days. Let no one tell you that we're not able to get a bill in 30 days, because we have seen where they can do it. We have seen where we can do it. Somebody's asking on the WhatsApp chat, and again, thanks for sending your comments. Yes, you can send your comments. You can also call in on WhatsApp. You can call in on the air also. I'll give those numbers a little later, but let me read this comment on behalf of someone. The person said, so we get the 10%. How do we prevent those currently in the THA so that they... How do we prevent those currently in the THA? Or how do we ensure that they are moved so that they don't bad spend and they don't finagle with money? I am paraphrasing what the person said. And that's why I'm glad you asked that question because that is critical. That is critical. That is critical because the next step after voting for Mr. Watson Duke and Mr. Shea Grace Burris to go to Trinidad is to vote out the evil, wicked ones and them that there. Because remember, they've been there for 20 years. They have been there for 20 years. They have shown you exactly what they can do. At the last election, they told you they was coming with a fresh face, fresh start. And that is a different group of them, and we recognize from the last THA election that all of them is the same. So when they come now again, and after they had the big internal fighting at the beginning of this year, they nearly kill each other at the beginning of this year, they would come again for the next THA election and try to tell you, well, it's a new set of winner, another fresh face, fresh start. But we have seen in Tobago what PNM reign looks like. And we have proven that even if they change those that are the leaves, the root is the same root. So what the Tobago people has to do is ensure that after we send, think about this, after we send Mr. Shea Grace Burris and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke to Trinidad and they advocate on our behalf and we get the 10% and we get some of the other things that I would be telling you about shortly. After we do that, you all Tobago have to make sure that you vote them out in January 2021 and put people like myself, put people like Mr. Fadi Chavez Augustine, put like the other candidates that the PDP will be sending up. Because we are not here to thief no money. We are not here because we have nothing else to do. We are not here because we have no other choice and we're looking for a good government work. No, we are here because we have the heart and soul of Tobago it is our core. And we are going to be the ones who ensure that we do not squander that money. We are going to ensure that we do not bad spend that money. We are going to ensure that we do not have people thief that money. And as I have said on several occasions, I can't thief. If I go in a grocery store and they give me $5 extra and I recognize it down the road, I had to walk back to give them back the $5. I cannot thief. And I have told all of my colleagues, if all you know that is what you're going to do, let me know. Let me know because I will be the one. I will be the one calling the police on all your behind because you all will not be sullying my good name. You all will not be sullying my good name. So I'm letting them know, if you are listening, the other PDP Spartans who will be part of the THA, who will be contesting THA elections in January 2021. I'm letting you all know publicly now that this Faith Be Israel, formerly Faith Brebner, will not stand with you if you do what those were doing. We ain't coming this thing to thief. We ain't coming this thing to bad spending money. We ain't coming this thing to do what they have been doing for the last 20 years. Not us. And if that is what you're thinking, decide now from now to drop out. We ain't even gonna ask no questions about why you change your mind. Decide from now, because know for a fact that if anybody calling the police on you, it would be fate calling the police on you. So you all don't have to worry. I can't thief and I can't deal with anybody around me who thieving. And that is why in January 2021, or whenever they do the THA elections, because they might try to call it early again because they feel we ain't ready and they feel we don't know what we're doing. Whenever that happens, we will be ready and we are the ones who are going to be there doing what we need to do on behalf of Tobago. That is why we are here. That is why we are fighting. That is why we want to continue fighting on behalf of you. So after we send the Mr. Shea Grace Burris and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke to Trinidad on August 11th or 12th, after the election on August 10th, your next duty, Tobago, is to elect a PDP Tobago House of Assembly, because we are the ones who would then be able to use the money, use that 10%. We are the ones who are going to do something with what we've been given. And let me explain why we need to do this. Imagine it. It was about 20 years ago that Mr. Hochoy Charles's regime is the one that took the government, the central government, to court. And after they fought for the 4.03% and to the 6.9%, after they fought for that, Tobago kicked out Mr. Charles and brought in the Orville London regime. So Mr. Charles never had an opportunity to spend any of that money. I don't know how to get the calls that are coming up. So Mr. Charles never had an opportunity to spend that money. We can't make the mistake of giving those people who are there now the opportunity to spend that 10%. We absolutely can't allow them to thief out the 10%. We can't allow that. So you Tobago, after this August 10th, need to put in your head that the only people who are worthy of being there, the only people who you could trust to be there, are people like Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine and myself and the other part of the PDP team. So call. I'm going to allow you to call in now. We have, if you could call on air, the number is 717-9591. That is on air, 717-9591. And if you have WhatsApp, call on 734-6355. Call on 734-6355. And you could also send a message on the WhatsApp. If you don't want to call in but you just want to send a message, you can send a message on the WhatsApp and we would be able to read it on air on your behalf. Okay, so again, call in. The numbers are 717-9591 and the WhatsApp number is 734-6355. And all you're calling quick because I realize it's the first time I'm here in probably 3 years and I need Mega to be here to show me how to answer these calls that are coming in. So yes, again, we have to ensure that we on election day get up early, get up bright and early, pray, meditate, do whatever you're accustomed to do to put your head in a nice space. Do that and then go out. Ensure that you are, what does it say? What does this ball out in the in the polling station? Consecutive number 1. So your aim for that day should be that your name should be consecutive number 1. Your aim is if you get up a little late, as in get up 4:30 instead of 4, your name should be consecutive number 2, consecutive number 3, 4, any of that. That should be your aim, because we want a situation where we win so resoundingly that they have no opportunity, none whatsoever, for them to try to thief this from Tobagonians. Let me read a couple of the messages on my personal Facebook chat. Someone is saying, go brave PDP Spartans. The walls of Jericho has already fallen. Thank you, sir. Victory in the Almighty Jehovah's name. Yes. Victory. We have already seen victory. We're already feeling the victory. We already know it's there. But we need each and every one of you to go out and help us bring this home. And I want to ensure that you do not make the mistake. Tobago, another warning. Do not make the mistake of thinking that because you see we're looking good and because you see plenty and we're walking up and down and because plenty people saying they're black and brave, that you said to yourself, nah man, they win already, so me ain't bound to vote. We need every single vote. If you know how many people have met me after the elections and told me for whatever reason they did not vote for me when they recognized that I lost by 5. Count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All I needed was 6 people to decide that day that instead of doing something else, they come out and vote for me. That is all I needed. And I would have been an assemblyman in the Tobago House of Assembly and not a councillor appointed by Mr. Duke. That is what we needed. So, I'm seeing a comment coming in. Can we discuss what is instructive to Tobago about the recent social unrest in Trinidad in PNM areas and how we should and how we should stand against it, but also stand in support of those citizens. That's an important point, because what you recognize is that the recent social arrest shows that there are people who are in Trinidad who feel disenfranchised. There are people who feel, and it's not just Trinidad, this is all over. There are people who feel that the government is not working for them. There are people who feel that their voices are not being heard. There are people who feel like they are being taken advantage of. And if you look at many of the areas, let's be honest, if you look at many of the areas where the unrest happened, these are places that have some of the highest rates of poverty. These are places that have some of the highest rates of crime. These are places that have not been working. Their government has not been working for them because they've been voting the same people over and over and over and over, but have not gotten any reward for that vote. They have not gotten any reward for that vote. And we have to ensure when we do development here in Tobago, because we run the risk if we continue down the road that we're going, that Tobago may end up like some of those very spaces. We have to ensure that we do holistic development that starts in the communities, that starts in the schools, that starts in those places, so that we get everybody, so that everybody is lifted up, everybody is hoisted up, so that everybody recognizes that they are equal opportunity. There is an equal opportunity for every single one of us, and not just some of us. I'm getting another WhatsApp message. It says, hello, can you enlighten me about the failed project abandoned by the THA? I saw it was highlighted by Mr. Duke earlier this week. To me, it warrants a serious investigation. And yes, that is really, really critical. What has happened is a couple years ago, the Tobago House of Assembly decided that it would purchase two hotels. Two hotels that were not functioning, were not in the best shape. They purchased Manta Lodge, which is in Speyside, and they purchased Sanctuary, which is in the west, Black Rock area, down on that end. Not really Black Rock, I can't remember the name of the area right now. The THA purchased those two hotels. They spent millions of dollars on those two hotels. I don't have the exact figure in terms of how much they spent on those two hotels right now, but they spent millions. They have done nothing with those two hotels since, except pay for security, and they have paid for landscaping. So they're not allowing the grass to grow too high. When we ask how much they've paid for those things, those as in security and landscaping for the last couple of years, is millions of dollars that we've spent. So we spent millions to buy the two properties. We spent millions on landscaping and the security for the two properties. And when the media asked the current chief secretary about it recently, what he said is that they had not done a feasibility study about how the THA would make these investments real investments. And because they had not done a real feasibility study, they are not sure what they are going to do. So this is another perfect example of projects where we have spent millions spent, and nothing has come out of it. They have not redeveloped them, they have not redesigned them, they have not built them up, they have not refurbished them. They are just there. And I'm glad if you go to Mr. Duke's page, you would see both of them, because he visited both. He visited both Sanctuary this week, and he visited Manta Lodge a couple of weeks ago, showing that they are waste. They are structures that are being overrun. They are structures that are filled with bats. That is what those are. And that is what the PNM has been doing in Tobago for the last couple of years. Because again, we had to hear that they had bought these. And imagine, if I am not mistaken, these purchases were made when the current political leader of the Tobago Council of the PNM was the secretary with responsibility for tourism. Think about that. And this is the person who they are coming back now, almost with a bold face, trying to tell us that she did such a good job then that we need to bring her back now because she's going to do such a good job as a chief secretary. Are we crazy? Are you crazy, Tobago? Are you? Really? Are you? So I'm going to ask another question came in. It says, good morning, Faith. Good morning. On behalf of Tobago, Tobagonians, and Trinidad and Tobago, I long for today when Tobago will have true representation on our behalf in Parliament. Also, longing to see a THA which is truly accountable to the people of Tobago with 100% transparency. From my perspective, what or who we have is not working. Let's try something or someone different. And the one choice Tobago is the PDP. And I want to thank you so much for that comment. I appreciate that comment. And you are right. We have tried something for 20 years. We have no question about who they are, what they do. None whatsoever. We have seen it with our own eyes. We have seen it with our own two eyes. What else do you need? Give somebody else a chance. And that is what we've been saying to the people of Tobago. Give Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine, who is the PDP's candidate for Chief Secretary, prospective Chief Secretary. Give Farley Chavez Augustine, who is the PDP's prospective Chief Secretary candidate. Farley is a good boy. All we know him from long time. He teach almost everybody who passed through Speyside High. He taught them. Practically every single student who has come out of Speyside High, who has gone to higher education, he has had a part in that. A good Christian man. Give the rest of the team, including myself, an opportunity. Imagine this, Imagine we have people who have the skills and talents to not be here. When we started courting Assemblyman Farley to be a part of the Tobago, to be a part of the PDP, he was thinking about leaving Tobago. And we have a situation where practically everybody who has most of the people, Tobago has the highest rate of brain drain possibly in the world, because almost everybody who has the real skills, who has the competence. You think about it. Look at the people who are in your classes. Look at the people who have the degrees. Look at the people who are able to do these things. A lot of them, they try getting the job in Tobago. They've tried for the last couple of years, but they tell them what? You are overqualified. Or you go in and you have some secretary or somebody trying to tell you, well, for you to get the work, you have to do this and do that. Like you have to work 2 and 3 times for the same job. We can't do this. We have to have a Tobago that attracts Tobagonians. We have Tobagonians, and I don't care what anybody says. Tobagonians are some of the smartest, some of the brightest, some of the most hardworking people in the whole wide world. You know how I know that? Because it's the Tobagonians who are in charge of practically everything all over the world, not just in Trinidad. Not just in Trinidad, but all over the world. When you see Tobagonians who are outside and you ask them what they're doing, they are CEOs, they are on board of directors, they are this, they are that, they are thriving. And you ask them, why don't you come home? And they tell you, because this space is not welcoming. Because when they tried applying, we were told that they were overqualified. Because we need to create a Tobago that encourages our best and brightest to come back home. That is what we need to do, and that is what the Progressive Democratic Patriots is trying to do, to have a Tobago that is the best. To have a Tobago that is welcoming not just to Tobagonians but to others, so that we attract the best and the brightest from all over the world. That is what we are trying to do. Somebody asked, does the THA also own Goat Island? Yes, and it again is one of the places that is left to it's a waste. Imagine we have some of the best tourist attractions in the world, and instead of developing them, instead of making them the places where when you leave you speak about them and you have such great pictures and so forth, we leave them to languish. We leave them to not go anywhere. So again, let me go back to the 30-day plan, because there are a couple of things I want to specifically mention. I said before that we want 10% of the national budget. 10% of the national budget, right? That 10% of the national budget would finally give us an opportunity to develop the way we need to develop. And again, this is something that can be changed in the Tobago House of Assembly Act immediately. We can really have this be the first or the second bill that is taken to Parliament. So August 10th is election. Swearing in might be August 12th, somewhere around there. By August 20th, we can have that bill in Parliament. Imagine that within the first 30 days. Because Tobagonians need to recognize that the Progressive Democratic Patriots, we are Tobagonians first and everything else after. Our sole purpose is to go down and advocate on behalf of Tobago, advocate on behalf of Tobagonians. We'll also have in the act that the Tobago House of Assembly would be able to make laws for things that are relating to us. So if we want to do a law, if for example, and let me give you a perfect example, the municipalities in Trinidad already have the capacity to make laws for things relating to them. If Port of Spain decides that it wants to charge 50 cents to everybody who comes into Port of Spain, they want to put up a toll booth and they want to charge 50 cents for everybody who come into Port of Spain, they can do that. They can do that. They have the authority to do that, and they would make a law, they would pass it within the corporation, and they would send it straight to the president for her to assent to it, for her to make it an actual law. Tobago does not have that authority. For us to make a law in Tobago, we have to pass it in Tobago. We have to then send it to the cabinet in Trinidad. When we send it to the cabinet, again, not even the parliament, I want you all to listen. We have to send it to the cabinet in Trinidad. When we send it to the cabinet in Trinidad, they then send it to the parliament. When they're ready, when they feel like it, when they're up to it, they send it to the parliament in Trinidad. The parliament then decides what happens to it. And that is exactly what happened to the Tobago Autonomy Bill. That is exactly what is happening to everything that we want to do in Tobago. It has to go through those steps. So the other thing we want to do is to ensure that we have the authority in Tobago, so that if we pass a law in Tobago relating to something that is relating to Tobago, we don't have to then send it to Big Brother in Trinidad for them to vet. We don't have to then send it for them to decide whether they want to do it or not. No, that is not how it's going to work. We have to do it so that we can pass laws right here in Tobago that relates to things in the Tobago House of Assembly Act that we are responsible for, and then we can say, okay, we pass this law, let us send it straight to the president for assenting. Straight to the president to be assented to. That is what we are asking for. And again, that is something that can be changed in the Tobago House of Assembly Act right now. It can be amended right now, because if it is amended right now, which they can do, because it is an act of parliament, and it takes a simple majority. It takes a simple majority to get it done. So this needs to be off like this. Like that. Okay. So again, if you are trying to call on 717-9591 or WhatsApp 734-6355. The person who's been trying to call right now, because I have the technician with me right now so that we could figure out how to get these calls on air as thing. Hello? Hello, caller? Hello, caller? It seems like we're having technical issues. Hello, caller? Hello? Hello, caller? Hello? Okay, so it seems like we really are having technical issues with these telephone calls, which is good because it means that I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought I was doing something wrong. So we're going to try this one more time because I have the technician here who is trying to ensure that this works because I really do want to hear from you. Hello? So it seems like this is... All right, let's try this one more time. Hello, caller? Hello? I'm sorry, guys. This is not working this morning. I'm sorry. If you are on WhatsApp, you could send your messages on WhatsApp. I could still read the messages on air on WhatsApp. Hello, caller? Okay. You see, this is the thing about technology. It works when it's ready, and it doesn't. Hello, caller? I'm so sorry that we are not hearing you. We are not able to get it on air. So we will have to try this again. While that is happening, let me read another comment on WhatsApp. Again, you could send your comments on WhatsApp. The number to send them in is 734-6355. We have another comment. As Tobagonians abroad who are in our later years are longing to come home to share that which we know to Tobago. But sadly, the reception we receive from the current THA is not appealing. It is time for a change. And you know, I have heard that so many times. I have heard that from several people who tell you they are ready and they are willing to come home, but they are not feeling welcome. And by the way, that is actually something that the Progressive Democratic Patriots are trying. We campaigned on it during the 2017 elections, and we are going to push it again because we want, as Assemblyman Farley says, we want a coalition of the willing and the competent. We want everybody who has Tobago at heart to be a part of lifting this island. We need that to happen, a part so that every single person is a part of that process. For that to happen, we do need us to be welcoming. We need to be in a better position than where we are now. And seems like we're having a call. Hello? No, I'm not hearing anything.
Hello?
Hello, yes, caller. I'm hearing you now.
Listen, Faith. Don't be dismayed. Those bastards are using the resources of the state to block the calls that are coming into your system. That's how they win elections, by using the resources of the state against its own people. Okay? So don't be dismayed. That's why on certain numbers, they know they don't want those people to call in, so they block them. No, they don't know my cell phone number because I don't use it often, so they can't block this one yet. Now, let me say this. Since 1956, the PNM came into Tobago, Eric Williams at the helm, and bamboozle and fool Tobago people and tell them to throw the cutlass on the hoe. You hear, Faith? You there with me? Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes, and that is about 64 years now that has happened. So 3 generations of Tobagonians have lost their way. We have to import food from Trinidad and up the islands because they follow to them. We get like the East-West corridor. And just as how you see the East-West corridor from Digo Martin right up into San Juan Lavantil, how those people are now, that's where they're going to bring Tobago. So when you vote PNM, you're voting to become the East-West corridor. If you look at Central Trinidad and South Trinidad, the East Indians have not followed them. And they have prospered in their own independent way. And that's how Tobagonians were, and that's how Tobagonians should return. So voting for Champa and this girl, Westerroy, is voting for East-West corridor lifestyle. You understand me? Now you're on the right track. What should happen is that those 2 properties that they bought, Sanctuary Villa down in Pleasant Prospect there and the one in Speyside were two properties that were not exciting, that they should not have bought. But that's another way for them to get taxpayers in their pockets. Understand? They overprice the properties and they call a value and the people pay them. So if you look at London, I understand is a millionaire. Another one who has become chief secretary is a millionaire. And I don't know why they're not locking people up. Because Tobagonians have been known to go to jail for thieving taxpayers' money. You understand? And I think it's time that some of them make jail. Tobagonians should not allow these people to get away with stealing the people's ancestral lands from down in Canaan, Bonaccord, to say they're putting up airport. Because what they do is that when those buildings are put, the facilities are put up, the Trinidad part of the airport authority controls the property and it's out of Tobagonian hands. So you have Trinidadians now on our soil dictating what we do again through the central government. So voting for PNM is voting for slavery. And that is what is going to happen. They have to vote PDP and put two people in office, like what happened to Winston Murray and A.N.R. Robinson. And you notice that when A.N.R. Robinson and Winston Murray were in office, they got the support of Tobago people. And I have clippings of Tobago Auto Assembly. They don't want it. Those bastards did not conceive it. They cannot use it, and they will never use it because it is not a Tobago idea. For them, it's anything in the PNM is Trinidadian. And when you vote for PNM, you're voting Trinidadian to become like the East-West Corridor and John John. That is the message. You want Tobagonians to come back to the cooperative, to the Lenan, to become independent, powerful people.
Exactly.
So that social, economic, and people's development come back to Tobago.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. Let me answer another call quickly. Hello?
Yes, hello. Yes, I couldn't put it any better than what the caller just said there. And when I call, the truth does hurt people. So when I say, when you look at the behavior of these weak Tobagonians who have to be guided or rely on someone in Trinidad, really, to tell them what to do and so on. And I say that they're tantamount to behavior of a house slave. They get hurt, they get vexed. But think about it. In 2020, they are still happy to say they're depending on a Trinidad party. And here they are saying, the PNM have been in power, like there's one in the East who always challenges me when I call. The PNM is there about how much 50 something or whatever years, I don't know. And they have never changed their name every Monday morning and all this kind of thing. Imagine they're using a Trinidad party to trample down on their own in Tobago, their own Tobago voices, and willing to take a person who have treated you so badly over the years and trample on your own instead of building up your own. What you should have had in Tobago is our parties competing against each other only.
Exactly.
Not a Trinidad entity. We, at this point in time, there's a weak, lazy Tobagonians who play only pretending to be men and women. Pretending to be men and women, can't even run their own house. And somebody outside running it for them. This is the situation. And they are the ones that have divided Tobago, and they are the ones that have Tobago in its present position. Because if we were doing that already, we would have far more advanced in our thinking, and we would have gotten a lot more done.
Exactly.
This is the situation, and they don't seem to understand because you know why? They're eating a food, the money is sharing, the assembly seat gets sweet for them. So that little power and that money, this is what they don't want to give up for the right thing, for the correct thing. I always say it is better to have a marriage that you can break away from if you're treated badly than a wholehearted situation where Trinidad is in control of you.
I agree with you
100%. And a marriage, we come together in agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if things are bad and so what we do, we part our ways. And this is what the TDP is about. If someone is there to help us achieve our agenda of getting self-government for Tobago and so on, and you break away, that you're free to do that without any problem. But when you're like that, the PNM here in Tobago, you have no say, you have no voice, you have no way to talk with a loud voice. You can't do nothing.
Exactly. Thank you, caller. Let me have an. If we lost that call, call back again, please. Thank you, caller. And you are 100% correct. 100% correct. What we've been doing is having a kind of slavery, having these people can really, really not care about us, and they're not even pretending that they care. Let me read another WhatsApp message quickly. Good morning again. I am pleased and impressed with Tobago's candidates. I am urging all Tobagonians to support the candidates, especially Miss Burris, who has a bright future ahead. You all march on to victory. I am Tobagonian but live in Trinidad. God bless the PDP, and thank you so much, sir. And you know, one of the things that was mentioned before the call, not this the last caller, the one before, was the fact that Tobago used to be the breadbasket of the Trinidad and Tobago, and it used to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean. One of the things the Progressive Democratic Patriots with Mr. Duke and Miss Tashia Boris going to Trinidad, one of the things we are going to do is to ensure that we bring back a CARICOM jetty here in Tobago. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on air.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yes, what I want to know, what you always do for agriculture, and in a sense, when we look at the school curriculum, do you believe in these changes? Do you believe that we should get all children, no matter what the position they're in, the standard in a sense, you put all of them for 5 years to pass an exam, not know, and you know, so we realize by now that we should get some changes along that line, whereby the weaker ones, they, even though you put them in a different standard of class, or you put them in a way where they graduate, get a longer time to graduate, and at least what we do in the schools, we encourage tailoring and dressmaking. I am talking about just doing it for examiner, because look like uniform is a big money business. If once you get the skilled people who could do these things in the school, the children could learn that tailoring and that dressmaking, even learn plumbing and electrical thing in school. And in a sense, you like the uniform. If you get the cloth from X to make the uniform, you get it from X, and X get a retail place to sell clothes. The same stores that you get the clothes from to do it, you will get arrangements with them that it will go back. If you send children to make these little things, that things, these little cake and different things, wherever you call it, this hotel catering thing they do, you set up a kind of cooperative with them, and whilst they're in the class, wherever they're doing it in the building, whatever, you get an economical thing out of it, a benefit that some could go to the students, some go in a credit union for them.
Yes.
Let me ask you something. If a toilet breaks down, the senior children is in a secondary school, you don't think you get who know about it, a tradesman come in, and those same children would help to do it, even though it's a weekend thing or so on, so to let them get the knowledge and skill about it. Learn to fix computer in school, do this, do that, because you get children marching the corridors, and then you say they don't want to learn and they rude. But what they are doing is not attractive to them.
Exactly. And caller, you are so right. You are so right. Because what you're talking about really is completely revolutionizing the education system so that it meets the needs of every single student. Because what we currently have is a situation where the children are being forced to do one kind of thing, one kind of academic thing, the maths and the English and the science and so forth. And what we've been doing is leaving the technical vocational training for people who we consider, not so bright or not doing the academic thing. When in fact, what we should be doing is identifying very early what is the mindset, or what are the skills and what is the competencies of the students, and put them in the correct track from early.
Yeah.
That is what we should be doing.
Because look at this. You could get motor cars, old motor cars, and they'll fix them. The children, you teach the children to fix them. So you generate, even in their school days, they could do something. And if you think they're not bright enough to pass this thing in 5 years, regulate it in a different way.
Exactly.
And to catch them. But you can't expect all of them to graduate at the same time and they're not at the same standard.
Exactly.
That is not something that you're drilling in them, you know. Most times, what you get out of the students, that would make them advance and not what you are putting in them.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution. And you are 100% correct. What we are talking about there is the restructuring of our educational system, the restructuring of our educational system to ensure that we take care of every single student that comes in, to ensure that we look at the capacity, to look at the competency, to look at the children if children like what they are doing, they will do better at it. And there are some of us who really just don't like the math and English. There are some of us who are going to be very good sportsmen and women and so forth. And we need our schools to be geared towards those kinds of things, because that is where it is. That's where the world is going. Those are the kinds of technical, vocational skills that we need. And we need to get to a place where the concept of technical, vocational should not mean weak, or should not mean dunce, or should not mean you don't know how to do anything else, so we're pushing you into the trade. No, we should recognize that trade, we should recognize that agriculture, we should recognize that all of these things are noble professions, and that we should be sending our children into those areas because that is what they like to do, that is what they love to do, and that is what they can make money doing. I want to highlight very quickly, though, that for most people, one of the things with Tobago, and we recognize it all the time, is that most people don't know that the reason why things are so expensive in Tobago is because everything that we import into Trinidad and Tobago has to go to Trinidad before it comes to Tobago. Did you all know that? Did you all know that if we really drop anything in the port in Tobago, it is technically illegal because we do not have any CARICOM ports here in Tobago? So one of the things, and this again is one of those first 30 days things, is to go and ensure that the laws in Trinidad and Tobago change to add the Scarborough port, or we may want to identify another port somewhere else to add that to it so that it is a re-established CARICOM jetty. That way, because we know that all of the ships that passing with goods going to Trinidad, all of them does be passing right in front of Tobago waters. So instead of them passing Tobago straight and heading down to Point Lisas or heading to Port of Spain, and then we now have to find a way to Trinidad and find a way to Point Lisas, and then have to deal with customs and immigration down there, and then have to deal with finding a way to get those goods back to Tobago. Why don't we have our CARICOM port here in Tobago so that those ships can drop them off right here in Tobago one time? You drop them off right here in Tobago. We remove the middleman. We remove the additional cost of getting people, our business people in Tobago having to go to Trinidad, having to spend overnight in Trinidad. And the situation with the boats was so bad for so many years that a trip that used to take a day suddenly started taking 2 and 3 days because of how it was being done and how badly the inter-island transportation system was working and so forth. So another one of those 30 days, because again, with people who are fighting on behalf of Tobago, we going down to Trinidad with a mission. Mr. Watson Duke, Miss Tashia Grace Boris would be going to Trinidad on a mission. They ain't going down there to get no big salary. They ain't going down there to sit down in no cushy office. They ain't going down there for none of that. They are going with a mission. Hello, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Faith, I'm calling back.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You just raised a topic that is close to my heart, that it causes me to tremble. From your travels, you've spent some time in North America, and you realize that when you have to develop a society, you have to have access. You have to have land access, internal access. You have to have sea access, and you have to have air access. Tobago East is 3/4 of the island in geography, and it may very well get bigger. People are leaving Tobago East in droves because the access to Tobago East from Scarborough to Charlottesville is antiquated, biblical. It's difficult to drive that on that roadway. They spent no time They spent no time to develop the Tobago East. They spent no time to spend money in Tobago to make Tobago people independent. And they know why. Because if Tobago becomes independent, Trinidad is in trouble. You talk about those ships passing on our north and going down, they pass by us before they go down there. Trinidad's goods supposed to land in Tobago and let them come and take the damn goods that we have to go to Trinidad for our goods.
I agree.
That's what we have to do. The early Tobagoans used to trade up the islands with Barbados and Grenada, and we used to get things directly. Those farmers who used to run estates used to get their ships come straight into Tobago. We have to go back to those days. So Tobago needs the east, the windward corridor must get a new road, well developed with international help. Let me tell you something. For years, Grenada had a little airport they called Pearls Airport on the eastern side of the island. But it's a small, just like what our little Tobago airport was on Crown Point was. And it took the Cubans, with Maurice Bishop, to show them that right not far from St. George's, they could build an international airport by running the runway, cutting away some hillsides and running the runway across from one mainland into a little island and run the runway over the sea. There are places in Tobago East where we could put down another airport, but it takes thought and forward-looking people, not those indolent, backward people who spent 20 years. After Judge Charles administration won the Dispute Resolution Commission thing, so that was the foundation, the basic step. The windfall that came to Tobago met millionaires out of them thieves. You understand? That is what the problem is. We have to look for this and say, how do you develop a people? You must have internal access. You must have external access through port and seaport. We have the resources in Tobago East to make Tobago East the most beautiful part of the Caribbean. Let me give you another example. A.N.R. Robinson won some help from the EU to develop that North Road from Lansing to Charlottesville. He was out of office when those people with the money came. You know what Manning did with the money? Manning took that money and spent it on developing the Brian Promenade and put in a Trinidad contractor, in a P&M-based contractor to build a stupidness that they road from Lansing to Charlottesville. Part of Lansing washing away because they allow water to go one place when it's supposed to go in another place, and it eroding where it's school and certain roads are washing away. So things could happen. But you cannot put backward, indolent, blind people. You can't put owl to guard people, owl to sleep in the daytime. You have a set of sleepers in the assembly. Orville London was never a good teacher. He was never a good administrator. And I don't know why they didn't lock those people up. People are getting away with thievery as though it's a commonplace thing. This is not what Tobago people must know this. Don't vote those people. You're going to get like Mova and Lavantil and John and Second Caledonia and Sawan places. Look at those places. The only place that have any sunlight is where the East Indians live, because they depend on PN. They depend on their own resources with teamwork and family life and build themselves. Where black people live, you see they live in hovers on a hillside like some of them long-time slaves. That's how PNM has brought Tobago. And the people still, you see our young people, those are the people that we have to worry about. Them 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds who are leaving school, what the hell are they going to do? Ask Orville London the money spent down in Cove. The millions of dollars, how many hundreds of millions of dollars spent down in Cove? To do what? What was the plan? To do what with the facility? They would have getting money, should they cut back from the contractors who put on the place? To do what? What have you done with the resources that you put down there? The infrastructure is there wasting away because they know damn good. Let Tobago people know that those PNM people should be putting them, let them go, either go to jail or go home and relax and watch people run a country.
I agree with you, caller. Thank you so much. And to give a perfect example of what you're saying in terms of the lack of vision and the lack of forethought, that whole idea of an airport in the eastern end of the island, that is something that the Progressive Democratic Patriots spoke about. That is something that we campaigned on. And when we did, you know what they did? They laughed. The whole idea of an airport anywhere other than Crown Point to them was they did not understand that at all. And they kept laughing and they kept joking about the fact that Mr. Duke said we could put an airport, we could put a seaport in Roxborough. What is wrong with that? As a matter of fact, when we were speaking, when this whole thing with the airport relocation, with the airport construction of the airport, which meant relocating all of these people, one of the things we said is, okay, if we are going to do a whole new airport, why not think about putting it in the east or putting it in the northern end of the island? Because we have a situation where that area is underdeveloped. We have a situation where we have a very good tourist product up on that end. There are people who come to Tobago and go to Castara and spend weeks in Castara, and the only time they leave Castara is when they are going back to wherever they came from. What if we put an airport on that side? That would make more sense to put an airport on that side, because that is what we need to do. Those are the kinds of ideas we have. Those are the kinds of thoughts we have. But those on the other side have no vision whatsoever. Caller, good morning.
Yes, how are you going, my dear, again?
Very good. Thank you for calling.
See somebody try to stand in a bucket and lift up himself. Yeah? That's what the PNM represents. A man standing up in a bucket and trying to lift himself up in that bucket. You know, that is the kind of visionless people that you have and so on in this place. They're totally visionless. And when people come with ideas, that's why they laughed the first time when the Hotel Chat administration was looking to give Tobago some financial independence. And now they're realizing that if they had given us a chance to work, it would have been real benefits for the people of Tobago. You know, and that they don't see those visions. A university in Tobago, remember when we were pushing that?
Yes, I remember. Mm-hmm.
They laughed. And when they were giving scholarships to go to Grenada, I lived to see the same PNM government in Trinidad sending all the students in Grenada to study medicine and so on. Grenada have a first-class university there now.
Exactly.
What happened to Tobago? Sports tourism should have been... Imagine that Trinidad tourism is doing far better than Tobago.
Imagine that, eh?
That a tourist island, and you sat on that Tracy Davidson Celestine, watch that tourism demise, and Trinidad doing much better. You see, they used to boast about figures talking about how much visitors Tobago get and all of that. Lots of foolishness and lies. Listen, they used to come to Trinidad figures, you know.
I know.
Come to Trinidad figures and inflate the figures. If you really want to show growth in tourism, I consider growth in tourism by the amount of new room stock that you added on the island that is full. There is not one room has been built in Tobago in 20 years under this PNM. Not one hotel room. Where's the growth in tourism? And we have 4 or 5 hotels closed down in the same period.
Exactly.
While in Trinidad, the other flip side, you have Hyatt and Marriott and Holiday Inn all built within the last 10 years or so. Yeah? So the Trinidad tourism is doing better than your Tobago tourism, which is a tourist island. And these people sit down here and allow those things to happen without saying anything and coming to ask people to give them support. What should happen right now in Tobago is that the name PNM should be in our history book. It should be tucked away somewhere in the history book, so when you read, you realize there was something named PNM in Tobago. That's where we should be right now, you know.
Exactly.
And have our Tobago party where we talking and, you know, have our different ideas between the two parties and electing one of the parties in Tobago, not the party from Trinidad. This is the kind of vision they don't understand because they are lazy. They don't want to get up and form something of their own. That could say relying on this help and handout because it's easy. Lazy and backward, that's what they are. And they're not seeing it. And when you open your mouth and talk, they want to vex and so on. But we must talk the truth.
Exactly.
We can't hide the truth.
Again, thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much, and you are 100% correct. What we have is a situation with people who have no vision, none whatsoever, and they have been the ones in charge for so long. Unfortunately, we have been living with that for the last 20 years. Tobago, you have given them the chance to prove themselves. You gave them 1 chance, 2 chance, 3 chance. You gave them last time they came with the whole idea of fresh face, fresh start. You gave them another chance. Do not make that mistake again. Do not make that mistake again. And I tell everybody, on my worst day the day when I have a headache and my belly hurting me and my foot hurting me too, I am promising you, Tobago, that we will do better than what they are doing now. On our absolute worst day, we are going to do better than what they are doing. And you have seen them act for 20 years. There is no question. There is no question about what they give. There is no question about what they come with. There is no question about what they can do because we've seen it. We have experienced it. What we are asking, Tobago, is for you to give another party a chance, a party that was built out of the bowels of Tobago, out of the bowels of Tobago, and out of the belly of Tobago, out of the belly of Tobagonians, of people who want to see better for this island. And I would always say, make no bones about it, I have a doctoral degree that is from one of the best schools and is one of the best doctoral degrees in the world. If I wanted tomorrow morning, I could pick up tomorrow morning and jump out of here. Well, I can't do it now since they closed down the thing. But I could not be in Tobago, fighting for Tobago. I am in Tobago because I want to see Tobago develop. I am in Tobago because I know that this is the island that educated me. This is the island of my birth. This is the island where my neighbor's string is, and I want to be buried right here. But I want to make sure that when I am buried in a place that is way better than what we have right now. And I am willing to give up be having some nice big cushy job somewhere in UN and WHO and that kind of thing. I am willing to give that up to fight on behalf of my fellow Tobagonians. Mr. Duke is willing to fight on behalf of the Tobagonians. Miss Tashia Grace Boris is willing to fight on behalf of Tobagonians. Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine is willing to fight on behalf of Tobagonians. We are willing to fight a fight that we did not have to fight. We are willing to jump into a war we did not have to jump into this, but because we love this island and because we really see that sign that they put up, we really love this island, and because we really love this island, we are willing to give our all for this island. And that is why we are asking each and every one of you, Tobago, don't allow us to say, okay, we gave our all and then Tobagonians didn't want it, because we know Tobagonians want it. We hear the cries every day. I get the calls all the time. I get the messages all the time. I know that we are not living our best life right now. I know that we are not living our destiny right now. We are stagnant. We are stagnated. We have been sitting idly by. It is about time that we get a catalyst. It's about time we get an injection. It's about time we move ahead. That is what we have to do now. And we are asking Tobagonians to please give us that opportunity. Give me that opportunity. Give Mr. Watson Duke, give Mr. Shea, give Farley Chavez Augustine that opportunity. We are begging you. Hello, caller.
Yes, one last thing before I go on and go back to my work there, because I'm so caught up in this thing. Yes, you see, the problem, as you're alluding to there now, is that they don't have that Tobago pride. You see that pride of being Tobagonian that we once had?
That's exactly it.
When Robinson was around and we were heading somewhere and we had a mission, and like most of Tobago was on board. You remember those days when there was only one of them in the parliament, in the assembly from Lambo?
Yes, I remember those days.
And that's what the ballet days, you know. You have to dig it out the ground. You can't burn it down. You can't cut it down. Somewhere, once you get a little root, it just come up back. The most worthless plant that just suck the best soil and give back nothing. Really.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's what it is. You understand? So that is what happened. The Tobago pride, that pride of being Tobago, is not there. And then you have a lot of influences too who coming in from Trinidad who telling you it's one Trinidad and Tobago and this and that. And if you hear the kind of thing, I have them working even around me, Trinidadians who live here. It's one Trinidad and Tobago and this and that. They don't understand. Those who come here, when they come to Scarborough, I've met quite a few of them say, Ricky, this is how Scarborough look like. This
A
is
shame.
Like I said, nah, man, nah. 80% of Trinidadians never come to Tobago or more. Over 80% of Trinidadians have never, you talk to them in Trinidad, they have never land foot in Tobago here. But over 95 or 99% of us went to Trinidad.
Exactly, because we have
And
to.
they don't know the suffering that's going on here, you know. It's when they reach here and they spend a little time, things that they take for granted in Trinidad, that they realize that Tobago really don't have nothing. In Tobago have nothing really, you know. Nothing.
After all of these years and all of the billions that have been
And
spent.
that is why the Mr. Pitt would have handed his resignation that he no longer could go because he has a conscience.
Exactly.
And saying that, listen, I cannot come back to you and say, give me more time because I have not fulfilled what I'm supposed to do. He know, but he didn't come out and say straight, right? What has added to the sport stuck in Tobago? Thank God I always say that Mr. Jack Warner was in charge of CONCACAF, and during that time, with the influence he had with bringing the Junior World Cup and so on, Tobago got a stadium. Thank God. If that wasn't not the case, Dr. Faye, tell me, would we have been in Shaw Park still running on grass, marking out the field with paint on the grass and so on?
That's exactly what would have happened.
Still in Shaw Park because since then, what has been added to this sport stuff in Tobago? What? We don't have a cricket stadium that Orville London promised, which was, I've seen the pictures and the drawing with that, where he was showing when we opened the stadium there. He was right next to that stadium. Our aquatic center, indoor sports hall for table tennis, volleyball, netball, basketball, squash, and the swimming pool there to have a little meet. We should have had a little velodrome now. We have a cycle traffic in Tobago, right? And where do our cyclists ride? We should have had a little velodrome outdoor like the one in Arima.
In Arima, yes.
Our cyclists can ride. Nothing has been added. And you are telling me people in Tobago put back TNM there? Come on, man. What's wrong with these people? What would it take for you to see?
Exactly, and and the hard part is they have the gall, they have the gumption, as my great grandmother used to say, to come and say, but they're turning sod now. You're turning sod now for an internal indoor facility. You had 20 years to do it, but 2 days before election, you turn in sod. It's like Tobagonian stupid. We are not falling for that again.
And the chief of all of them who have a Tobagonian birth paper, only serving Trinidad. What has he done in the last 5 years? In fact, let me go back a bit. What has he done all his political life since being in Trinidad and knowing Tobago and coming back to Tobago years and on in? What has he done? Can you point to one thing in his political life that he has done to lobby for Tobago or do for Tobago? I'll tell you what he done though. When Mr. Robinson and others were trying to open up Tobago and give Tobago a little light and, something like a Deepwater Harbor. What did he say?
He called it what? The duck pond?
Yes. What is his legacy? What was said about the quarry that is the second best stone in the world, that the only thing up there is rotten rock? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is the legacy. He has done nothing in his history for Tobago. Nothing you can point to. Yeah? So they could fill Mr. Robinson's shoes. They don't have the moral authority to talk about Mr. Robinson and others.
It's such a shame. That's why I keep telling, especially Trinidadians who don't understand, when we say that he is not Tobagonian, he may have been born here. He may have been born here, but in our eyes, he is not one of us because he does not speak on our behalf. He does not advocate for us, and it seems like every time he opens his mouth, it is with such disdain for this island. Such disdain.
You know what a lot of Tobagonians are weak with? Just the fact that he's a Tobagonian away boy and his prime minister is enough. You know that a lot of people, just because of that, without looking at the big issues, just because he's Tobagonian and he's in the parliament in Trinidad, that's good enough for them because that Tobagonian who they know is there. Rubbish. Because being there and having nothing done is equal to what?
Worse. As a matter of fact, this is worse because he should have been the one advocating on our behalf louder than anybody else. So the fact that he is there and he has not, that is worse.
And push to get certain things done. But what is his legacy? Huh? All right, so you continue and we continue to push forward and support the PDP. As you know, we have plenty of work to do. And starting from tomorrow, you know what we have to do.
Yes, and thank you thanks for that reminder about tomorrow. So guys, today is Thursday the 16th. Tomorrow is Friday the 17th of July, and on Friday the 17th of July it is nomination day, where the candidates will go to their what is it called, the it's not the EBC office. I don't know, I just forget them things sometimes. But the candidates go and hand in their nomination papers. Now, PDP has a tradition. Of marshalling or going with our candidates to their nomination poll, to their offices. So what we are going to do, we did it last time, and we are going to do it again. Of course, now with COVID, we have to be a little bit more conscious about it, but we are going to be congregating, we are going to be coming together up at the PSA area uptown, and then we will accompany our candidates to John Dial Community Center and then to the Calder Hall Community Center to ensure that they hand in those papers and to ensure that we see them go through the door and that we see them come out the door with a smile on their face because they are officially candidates. Remember, what is happening now is they are prospective candidates right now, but until those nomination papers get handed in tomorrow, when they get handed in and they get that final stamp, then, and they pay the money, of course, then they will be classified officially as candidates. So if you are around, come out, come join us as we start up at PSA. We're starting at 10. We are starting at 10, and then we go follow them to John Dial. So we should get to John Dial by about 10:30, and then we go to Calder Hall. So we should get to Calder Hall by about 11:30. Come out and support your PDP candidate. Remember, we have Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, who is our Tobago East prospective candidate, because by tomorrow they will be the official candidate. And we also have Tashia Grace Boris, who will be our Tobago West candidate. We need every single one of you to support us. And I keep telling people, support is good. Support is good all around. But the only support that is tangible, the only support that really counts at the end, because all that we could jump up, all that we could get with big parade, all that we could do all kind of thing. The support that really stands, the support that we absolutely must get, is the support of going out on August 10th, early in the morning. If you have to take the day off, remember we are all allowed 2 hours to vote. So you take your 2 hours early if you have to go to work. Take your 2 hours first and then go and vote and then go to work after. Do whatever you want to do after. Ensure that we have such a resounding victory for the PDP in Tobago, because these 2 seats in Tobago are worth more. And I make no bones about it, are worth 10 times more, 20 times more, 100 times more than the 39 seats that are sitting in Trinidad. Because we now have an opportunity to really send 2 Tobagonians who love Tobago, who are willing to fight for Tobago, to Trinidad. Hello, caller?
Yes. Thank you for that. And also tomorrow evening and Saturday night and so on, you know, the public now to come out. Our meetings and so on. Yeah?
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Yes. So
tomorrow evening, as you know, we have our big launch tomorrow evening, and so on, and Saturday night our big meeting here in Scarborough and so on. So let the people know.
Yes, certainly. So just a reminder, we have a walkabout this evening in Mount St. George. So we congregate up at the top of the hill by George Field and Castara this evening from 4 o'clock. We move through Mount St. George. Tomorrow evening they'll be moving through Mason Hall. So they'll be starting by Shorty Bar, which is where the office of the Mason Hall Mariah Providence the Action Group office is, tomorrow evening about 4 o'clock, I think. And then the PDP is doing things differently. PDP is doing something differently. We are going to be tomorrow on Saturday. Saturday evening, we are going to have our first drive-in meeting. Because remember, we're still in the midst of COVID, and we really should not be, quote-unquote, congregating the way we would normally congregate and the way we would normally have our big meetings and so on. So we're doing it differently. We're telling you to come in your cars. Come in your cars. It's like a drive-in movie theater. So we're starting Saturday evening at 7:30 at the Garden Side car park. Come in your car, come in your maxi, sit down in your car, turn down the window them. If you want to bring a little lawn chair and sit down right outside your car, if you have a van and you want to sit down on your van back, come and do that. These are drive-in meetings, so come and do that. So we have 3 that are already scheduled and publicized, and we'll be having them as we go along. So we're just talking about the one on Saturday that is by Gardenside Car Park. The one on Sunday, which starts at 6:30, is at the Sid Gray Car Park in Roxborough. So we start down on the west and we're going up to the east. So Sid Gray Stadium Car Park on Sunday at 6:30. Again, jump in your car, make sure your horn working, make sure you have your blowhorn, make sure your voice, rest up your voice so that you could bawl out through your car window when we speak and you listen to us sitting in your car, sitting on your van back or whatever. And then Monday evening at 6:30, we roll up to the far east. Roll up into our boy Farley Chavez Augustine's area, and we have a meeting right outside the in Lucivale. You know what? We're shutting down Lucivale. We're shutting down Lucivale. We're parking on the outside of the Speyside High School car park. There's an external car park, and we set up a little stage here, and so you could come and park comfortably and listen to us. Again, so we have all of these events happening. This evening we are in Mount St. George, at the top of the hill in Mount St. George, where we'll just be walking around. We have the connection between the Belgarden, Goodwood, and Mount St. George, Bacalet, Mount St. George electoral district. So we coming in Mount St. George this evening. Tomorrow morning we are going with our candidates to John Dial for Tobago East and to Calder Hall for Tobago West in the morning, starting at 10 o'clock. By 10:30 we should be in John Dial. By 11:30 we should be in Calder Hall. Then tomorrow evening, the Mason Hall Moriah Action Group, they'll be doing some moving around. They're starting at what they call the Sandy River, down by Shorty Bar. There's the offices in that same compound by Shorty there, and they move from there. Saturday evening, we are at Garden Side Car Park. Garden Side Car Park, for the first ever in the history of Trinidad and Tobago and the political landscape. We have our drive-in meeting. So you come and you sit in your vehicle, you sit around your vehicle. We don't have the normal big sit down or stand up and come together as we normally do because of COVID. So we're asking you to come in your cars, come in your van, come in your maxi, come and sit down and listen through there. Bring your flag if you have flag. If you don't have a flag, have a jersey. Put the jersey. If you don't have jerseys, because we don't have any more PDP jerseys right this second, just wear black. Wear black, green, or white. Yeah. Don't wear no red. I mean, I could say that. You only know we're joking. But yeah, wear black, green, or white. If you come with red, you might get a little bit of heckle, but all always one love anyway. And on Sunday, so we have that on Saturday at 7:30 at Gardenside Car Park. And on Sunday, we roll to Roxborough by the Sid Gray Stadium Car Park. So we're outside again in the big open space by the car park. Roll up in your car, roll up in your van, roll up in your whatever you have, and sit in your vehicle and listen to us. And then on Monday evening at 6:30, we head to Speyside, close to the high school, the car park outside the high school in Lucivale. That is where we will be. So we're asking all of you to rock and come in. All of you rock and come in. Be a part of this movement. Be a part of this group of us who are giving of ourselves. We are giving everything because we really, 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 truly love this island known as Tobago. Become a PDP Spartan. If you are not a member of an action group, we have action groups throughout the island. We have action groups in every electoral district. So every single one has an action group. Try to find the action group. We have our office. The main office is at Port Mall, up on the 3rd floor at Port Mall, all the way to the top. That is where our office is. Rock and come in. If you have any question, any concerns, and so forth, rock and come in. Come and ask us. We are willing, we are able to help to work with you. even if you may not be PDP, even if you do not identify as PDP, even if you identify as PNM as a matter of fact, still, rock and come in because the PDP is an all-inclusive party. We are a party that loves everybody. We are a party that, again, we are Tobagonians first. That is why, remember, our slogan for this campaign is people before politics, because we are willing to put the needs of people before our own individual or own political issues. We want to ensure that everybody, every single one of us lives comfortably on this island. And when we all live comfortably on this island, then we could say, okay, we feel good. We could rock back a little bit now. But until then, the PDP has committed ourselves to working on behalf of every single one of you. Rock and come in. Rock and come in. Remember, on August 10th, we have two candidates. We have the master negotiator, the absolute master negotiator in Mr. Watson Solomon Duke. And you know what? Imagine, we have a situation now where it seems like everybody who talking about politics, talking about Mr. Duke, as if Mr. Duke is, what? Are they frightened Mr. Duke so? Mr. Duke have all the power in the world. Why every time we turn on with TV, turn on the radio, and you're in a different political parties, Mr. Duke you're talking about. But Tobago, I want you all to be very clear about this. That is happening because they recognize that the man loves Tobago and the man is willing to do everything that he can do on behalf of this island. And because they are afraid of that, they are trying to discredit him. They are trying to do everything they can do to say, to make sure that he does not get there. And that is why you, Tobago, you have to make sure and put him there, because you have to ask yourself, what are they so afraid of? Those who have been there, those who have had their hands in the cookie jar all those years, why are they so afraid of Mr. Duke getting in there so that we could see all the files, so that we could see all the reports, so that we could see everything that they have been trying to hide from Tobagonians all those years? What we want is an opportunity to get in. We want an opportunity to get there, to see them, because I promise you, those things, all of the, you see all of that $10 million, that, was it the 10 million? That went into the wrong account, that should have gone in an account in Miami and somehow end up in an account in England, and all of that, we ain't forgetting that. We may not talk about it all the time, We may not talk about it all the time, but don't worry, we ain't forget. All you have to pay for that. Somebody had to pay for all of that money. You can't be taking taxpayers' money and doing all you want like that and nothing. Nobody in make a jail. Nobody and even say, well, let us sit down in jail for a night. Nobody, nothing. And a man who can't eat, a woman who can't eat, people who making $200 and $300 and $400 and also just taking $10 million just so, and nobody ain't getting account of that. Don't worry, Tobagonians, you have to make sure you root them out. You have to make sure you root them out so that we can go in there and we can see what they have been doing for the last 20 years. Because if you recognize, the only reason we even know about them $10 million and all of that is because somebody leaked it away. So you could imagine what they have been hiding for the last 20 years that we do not know about. Just imagine. But don't worry, that is why the PDP is here. That is why we are fighting for Tobago, because we know that with the money that is being spent, we could do so much more. But we have to root out that corruption. We have to get rid of them. And we are asking every single one of you who is listening to me, don't allow this opportunity to go by. Don't allow them to come with any Nancy story. Don't allow them to come and suddenly you realize that everybody on the PDP is the worst ever. Don't allow them, when they come with the story, tell them go from here. As we have a song that says, move Satan, move, let we pass. Don't allow them to even come and whisper anything in your ear, because they are the ones who've been there stealing and robbing and having the corruption for the last 20 years. And they realize that if anybody else goes there, we will finally recognize what they have been doing, and they do not want that. Tobago, it is your opportunity now. It is your opportunity now to take Tobago to another level. The PDP is committed. The PDP is willing. The PDP is able. The PDP has competent people who are willing to give of themselves to ensure that you live comfortably. That is why we are asking each and every one of you to rock and come in. That is why we are asking each and every one of you to give the Bamboo Bully a chance. That is why we are asking each and every one of you on Election Day, August 10th, go out and vote the Progressive Democratic Patriots. We have Tashia Grace Boris in the west, and we have Watson Solomon Duke in the east. You have no other choice. Your life depends on it. Your children's life depends on it. This entire island depends on it. We are asking you to give us this chance. Mega, come through and help me roll out of this. Again, it's been such a wonderful thing. I certainly really enjoyed being on the air. You would be hearing more of me. You would be hearing more of Assemblyman Farley. You would be hearing the entire team as we go along. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are on Facebook, please remember to share the live, share it with your friends, your family, everyone, so that they can hear what is being done. Again, tomorrow morning, we have Mr. Shia Grace Boris on air from 7 a.m. again, and then we'll come through again. We're going to be doing this right up until election, and then after election we continue again. We love you. We at the Progressive Democratic Patriots are putting people before politics, and we are asking for your help to do that. Thank you. This is Dr. Faithwe Israel, and I'll be seeing you and talking to you soon. Thank you so much.
Never, I will never ever vote the oppressor, the slave master. What a displeasure. No. Tobago, we are the head and not the tail. Let's demand the change. Set our speeches and promises again and again. To no avail. Election games. Aye. Vote Watson in the east, vote Ashia in the west. Tobago, don't hesitate to drive the X. Drive it like you're fed up, drive it like you're vexed. I said to drive it like when you break up with your ex. Smoke Shamfa and Ayana from their Balizanes. And when the ballots are in and EBC done check. What a celebration in Roxborough complex. Watson take the east, Tasha B take the west. PDP forever and ever. I will never ever vote the oppressor, the slave master. What a disaster. Tobago, we are the head and not the tail. Let's demand the change. Set our speeches and promises again and again. To no avail. Election games. Hey, hey. For far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term and we still crying out. For far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term and we still crying out. Still crying out. Still crying out.
The 91.9 FM, the number one station in Tobago. J Angel, fully endorsed.
Street 91.9 FM Tobago, your real radio.
When it comes to the real radio, we deal with the real issues, real details, real news. That's why Street 919 is the realest station.
The realest personalities in Tobago on Street 91.9. The realest personalities in Tobago are on Street 91.9.
Bobby Six. Valin Cox. Feel that time we kill people. Yo, blow. Send down two of them mad shooters. The white lane. I'm mad dog. Dog we not play, dog we not stray. Anyway, me buck your dog, I play a lane up some thugs, them a school face. Me no buy 15 shit pound waist. Dog we not play, dog we not stray. Anyway, me buck your dog, play a lane up some guns, see a yell school face. Me no buy 15 shit pound waist. Me dog I cannot push a man pay by me them 19 with the extended from my boy violate me slam. Enough I read me dog, them and no cover them boy they full of courage. For me violate, yeah, run like porridge. Chop him up fry him it up like sausage. Me friend them boy them they heartless killers man a power with dog we not play, dog we not stray. Anyway me buck your dog, I play all in. Have some thugs, them just screw face. Me no bike, 15 shit round waist. Dog when I play, dog when I stray. Cause anyway me buck your. Yeah, you love some cause them thugs just screw face. Me no bike. Me don't give up. Somebody please violate. But we six me dog, give me for fire straight. Me we left your soul a rest on a hell gate. When we step the boy, man, as a ball on the place. Nothing can live on me. Smell bait, pull it. Come we talking at me, we stop it. Me beat hot sun, me good day. Dog when I play, dog when I stray. Anyway me buck your dog, I play all in. Have some thugs, them just screw face. Me no buy 15 shit round waist. Dog when I play, dog when I stray. Anyway me buck your dog, I play all in. Have some see how you screw face. Me no buy 15 shit round waist. Dog when I play, dog when I stray. Anyway me buck your dog, I play all in. Have some thugs, them just screw face. Dog when I play, dog when I stray. Anyway me buck your dog, I play. We no buy 15 shit round waist.
Biggest hits, interviews, futures, soca news, all from the set office. Crown Point Tobago, Streets 91.9 FM.
Hey class, turn up your rhythm. I something to tell them, gal. That man, oh God, that man, oh God, that man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. He Kyle, a real top sessa. Chain on the neck, on the dresser. Not a serious man, but a sure he's a presser. Like cartel say, make the money any weather. But wait, don't feel he's alone as a child mother and a baby at home. Your mind telling you should leave him alone, but he so sweet, you want him in your. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. You post him, man crush Monday, give him Jordan's max, your time, your energy. You finally find yourself a good man, and all he wants is a man, so you give him all he asked for. Bend out your back, broke it down to the floor. Enjoy it now, at least while it lasts. If he gotta find out, that man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. You sure is your man you're whining on. You sure is your man you're whining on. When it's 7.6 you sure is your man you're sliming on. Oh God, you sure. Oh yes, you sure. Oh God, you sure. Oh yes, you sure. Oh yes, you sure. That man. Meet Kyle, a real top sessa. Chain on the neck, on the dresser. Not a serious man, but a sure he's a presser. Like cartel say, make the money any weather. But wait, don't feel he's alone as a child mother and a baby at home. Your mind telling you should leave him alone, but he so sweet, you want him in your. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man is not your own. That man right there is not your own. That man. I hope you hear what I'm telling you now. Music.
Let me get to you too. One day, man, I can see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, listen, I got far by me, One day, man, I can see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, listen, I got far by me, Thank you, Father, for shining like a light. Papa tell me, yo, you'd be wise. Mama tell me, yo, open your eyes. You see your presence, I say, take what's mine, take. Success, man, I work for. Every day, every night, shower me round the corner. Life I get harder, but me still hold it up, me never move like she bother. Yeah, me know them boy with a love is if we fall, yeah. Them boy, with a love for every ball, yeah. Them boy too bad, my them with a love is if we stop shine. So never trust mankind. Bad mind say I me, them a compa. Never want to me rise, them want me so far. Must it human come from the gutter? But them a sing, them still want me so far. You can't trick me with nothing to bends. And you coulda come with your contact lens. Anything you want, yo, we can defend. Straight talk, real, you not pretend. Watch your friends where I keep. Enough of them boy, them not too real. Now make them trick you with a smile and a cry. All when you have nothing for eat. Get a youth, be wise. In this a time, you not for laugh, you not for smile. Oh, someone else to stack up the dollar kind. Pain and pressure might lick with some time. But me thank Father God, cause I'm always on time. Money man I study another depth on my mind. Tell me know about war, and me know about crimes. Guns and ammunition with a lot of time. See that, when I end up in a jail. Money ever make man up for pre-bill. Get a youth man for rise not fail. Open your eyes dark, see the better days. One day, man I go see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, blessing I go far away, hey. One day, man I go see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, blessing I go far away, hey. Big boy walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Fear no evil, blessing I go far away. I rather nice staff, they comfort me. Don't prepare the table before me, presence of my enemy. Anointing my head with oil. My cup and it's over. One chapter a day, keep the devil away. I saw the thing them stay. All my dogs have to pray. Me no want no bad mind pray. Now the tea are drunk me. All them a try, they can't stop my life, yo. Dirty bad man, yeah. Keep me high for my price. Money and work, success for my mind. So me don't have no time to study dirty bad mind. Just read once, I'ma keep them off of my mind. Babe, fake God, private smile. Behind your back, they want to stab you with knife. Oh, I see your mother cry. No that one day, man I go see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, blessing I go far by me. One day, man I go see a better way, hey, dog. One day, yo, blessing I go far by me. 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 Yeah. Blessing I go far by me. Yeah. Blessing I go far by me. Blessing I go far by me.
Hey, this is Dwayne from Mason Hall. No matter where I am, I always listen to the street 91.9 FM.
My name is Terry Sylvester and I'm from Signal Hill, Tobago. I love listening to 91.9 FM because it's the best and it plays the best.
You think a little bit of headset, my mommy papa. She said put down that DJ thing there. I just your book, me want you take up. Cause every day you just make the air nice more while me want you shut up. You feel like no producer boy can carry you a studio go lock up. Now she's my biggest fan. Love you, my number one. Words of a queen. That's everything what from my mama said to me. She's still my biggest fan. Go see your face when you hear this you want. Words of a queen. That's everything what from my mama said to me. I'ma tell you about a Lila way. The studio door me coulda never ever reach that day. For mama say if me do it she a go beat me, yeah. That couldn't keep me wet. Because me done did have the dry eye. One day in my room me there, I sing a tune pan a nice piece of beat me say. My neighbor them a tell me how my song sweet. Mama walk in and hear it. Said she need a one up on her playlist. Now she's my biggest fan. Love you, my number one. Words of a queen. That's everything what my mama said to me. She's still the biggest fan. Mom see your face when you hear this you want. Words of a queen. That's everything what my mama said to me. And it was no debate when a time for we get up and go wash out the plate. We coulda never concentrate. Some mom, you see that one, yeah. Why you know say I for you, me do that song, yeah. Now she's my biggest fan. Love you, my number one. Words of a queen. That's everything what my mama said to me. She's still my biggest fan. Go see your face when you hear this, you want. Words of a queen. That's everything what my mama said. My mama said. See, ever since I was a little teeny weeny tot, me always dream for build a tune and circulate them up. So everybody start to answer who for that or that. You hear say I for Jerry, you're the one we never talk a lot. See in my heart, love for you, I really got a lot. I hope you know that this is just the start of part. And me give thanks for every single time you literally beating those words of the vine. My biggest fan, love you, my number one. Words of a queen, that's everything what my mama said to me. She's still the biggest fan. Won't see your face when you hear this, you want. Words of a queen. I love you, mama. You're still my biggest fan.
Mommy, you always a pray for me. Oh, I wish that you could know just how much you dear to me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now every day me I pray for you. Me I pray for you. Ooh, never make her stand. Oh God, give her everlasting breath to enjoy my success. Watch the road where she trod. Oh God, give her everlasting breath so she can enjoy my success. From the day when me born, with you so much separation. Me promise my mother from them time the better days must come. Something have to go on. She said, Romain, just go and sing your song, but make sure you get an education. Me never frown, never get vexed. No time when me come home can't find food for now. High school graduation, the one pair of shoes me put it on. And although it leave, me still feel clean. She glad to see me achieve me dream. Take a look at me now. Your teachings and blessings are shown. Still not follow the crown. Me a live to make you proud. Never make her stand. Oh God, give her everlasting breath to enjoy my success. Watch the road where she trod. Oh God, give her everlasting breath so she can enjoy my success. Everything when me have by your own, I want buy you 100 home. Fly you out, come and Spain and Rome. You are a queen on your throne, mommy. I know that I can't repay for all that you've done for me. So I just go and pray, pray for longer days, never make her sad. Oh God, give her everlasting breath to enjoy my success. Watch the road where she trod. Oh God, give her everlasting breath so she can enjoy my success. Hey, I'm praying to you, oh God. Would never make her sad, never make her mad, make her glad and make her glad, yeah. Give her strength, oh God. Never make her sad, no tears, no. 'Cause she's the reason why I'm here. Mama, have no fear. My love is always near. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. I never make you sad. Oh God, give her everlasting breath to enjoy my success. Watch the road where she trod. Oh God, so she can enjoy my never make her sad. Oh God, give her everlasting breath to enjoy my success. Watch the road when she try. Oh God, give her everlasting breath so she can enjoy my success. Mommy, you always a pray for me. Oh, I wish that you could know just how much you care to me. Yeah. And every day me still a pray for you. Still a pray for you.
Even in the darkest night, still I see I is my light. Jah is always there by my side. Though sometimes I lose my way, just say you will be found one day. He is always there by my side. Sometimes I feel like a ship lost at sea. Is there anyone looking out for me? Voice in the wilderness bawling, please. Please don't let me fall, cause sometimes I feel like a bird. Broken wings, being led away in the coldest wind. Who's gonna teach me to fly again? No, no. Yeah. Look at the lilies in the field, they don't spin. But the King of Kings provides for them. And if that King of Kings still sits on the throne, then I know that I am never alone. Yeah. Even in the darkest night, still I see I is my light. Jah is always there by my side. Yeah. Though sometimes I lose my way, just say you will be found one day. He is always there by my side. By my side. By my side. Always there. By my side. Always there by my side. That's why I give thanks every day when I rise. Though every day is not a day with a bright sky. And when the darkness bring pain to my eyesight, Jah is the light on my way and he shines bright. Power of the Trinity, so I never question Jah's divinity. If you ever doubt Selassie abilities, looking at yourself and answer this. Tell me who taught all the birds how to fly? Who is the one that hang the clouds in the sky? And if for Moses, Jah divided the Red Sea, oh yes, then I know that Jah is always with me. No question, even in the darkest night, Selassie I is my light. Jah is always there by my side. And though sometimes I lose my way, just say, I found you, my son. I found you. Oh, yeah. He is always there. Mama, don't. He is always. Jah is always by my side, by my side, by my side. Jah is there by my side, by my side. By my side. Yeah, I see I is my life. He is always there. He is always there. Always, forever. Jah love.
vibe from Street 91.9 FM. Your radio, Street 91.9 FM Tobago.
Everybody know that we dangerous. Start to jump up now. Start to jump up now. Start to jump up now. Smash up. Anywhere we go, we get a top. We'll pick up anything and put it up. Put it up. Party, party, party till we drop. We play it up.
Hand up, hand up. Everybody put all your hand up. I want you to take off some things, start to fling it up. Fling up whatever you're drinking, start to wet it up. We playing a mass.
We dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us. We party dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us.
So when you guys say you party dangerously, like, is it violent? Should I fear for my life?
Nah, that's just how we just party. Why?
Like, what do you mean wild?
For example, friends come in here, we've come in here, everything come in here, everything come in here, drinks come in here, drugs come in here, everything come in here, everything come in here.
Start to jump up now, start to jump up now, start to jump up now. Put everything in the air, start to jump up now, start to jump up now, start to jump up now. Hey,
smash up, hey. Anywhere we go, we get a top. We'll pick up anything and put it up. Party, party, party till we drop. We play it a mass.
Hand up, hands up. Everybody put all your hand up. I want you to take off some things, start to fling it up. Fling up whatever you're drinking, start to wet it up. We playing a mass.
We dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us. We party dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us.
I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying, but don't you guys get tired?
Tired?
Forget tired. Don't you guys get hurt from doing this?
No, man, we're professionals.
I mean, really?
All right, watch again. Friends come in here. We've come in here. Everything come in here. Everything come in here. Drinks come in here. Drugs come in here. Everything come in here. Everything come in here.
Start to jump up now, start to jump up now, start to jump up now. Put everything in the air, start to jump up now, start to jump up now, start to jump up now. Hey,
smash up. Anywhere we go, we get a top. We'll pick up anything and put it up. Party, party, party till we drop. We play it a mass.
hand up. Everybody put all your hand up. I want you to take off some things, start to fling it up. Fling up whatever you're drinking, start to wet it up. We playing a mass.
We dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us. We party dangerous. Everybody's scared of us. We take party serious. They don't know how to deal with us.
Well, there you have it. We party dangerous. As a matter of fact, I think I need to get into some of this action too. We party dangerous.
Boy, you got less. Give me that. Come on, back it up. From the back. Grind it, shake it up.
girl. Lining. I said, come here for a second, darling. Just like me, always have perfect timing. Let me go. I'm say, hi, boy, girl, give me that. Back it up from the back. Grind it, shake it up. Turn around and show me that you like it, yeah. Boy, girl, give me that. Back it up from the back. Grind it, shake it up. All I want this woman to do is hold that bumper for me. No one like that. Hold that bumper for me. Wine, baby, wine. Pretty girl, hold that bumper for me. No one like that. Hold that bumper for me. Wine, baby, wine. Girl, you could rock back on me. I go be here if you want. You could lean up on me. I go be here if you want. You could push up on me. I go be here if you want. Come here and hop up on me. I go be here if you want. I love when a woman knows just what she wants. Yeah. Come on. No wasting time, no sending no mixed signals. Yeah. Big respect to every woman up in here. Yeah. But you see, you, baby, something about you. Darling, I want to know. Hold that bumper for me. No one like that. Hold that bumper for me. Wine, baby, wine. Pretty girl, hold that bumper for me. No one like that. Hold that bumper for me. Wine, baby, wine. And you could rock back on me. I go be here if you want. You could lean up on me. I go be here if you want. You could push up on me. I go be here if you want. Come here and hop up on me. I go be here if you want. Girl, you could rock back on me. I go be here if you want. You could lean up on me. I go be here if you want. You could push up on me. I go be here if you want. Come here and hop up on me. I go be here if you want.
How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I
Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa.
Jump if you're jumping.
Oh Male,
Wave if you're waving.
oh Male,
Drink if you're drinking.
oh Male,
Wine if you're whining. Jump if you're jumping.
oh Male,
Wave if you're waving.
oh Male,
Drink if you're drinking.
oh Male.
Wine if you're whining.
Jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave. Oh Male, we start rejoicing. Oh Male, look super coming.
Put up your hand and wind around. Screw the bob and wind around. Put up your hand and wind around. Screw the bob and wind around.
Jump up, back and down, jump up, back and down, jump up, back and down, jump up, jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave, jump and wave, jump up and wave.
Now the uptown crowd them zessin, and the downtown crowd them zessin. Every creed and race find a equal place, and we all know that is a blessing. Now Chinese laundry he's zessin, and Super Blue he not stressing, and Ravi be in a time and now killer on the track is a blessing. Hands up, out, down, yeah that is it. Hands up, out, down, little faster. Up, out, down, up, out, down, and round and round, round and round, round and round and round and round and round.
Chutney so kind nice, like curry, shrimp and rice.
How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel it? How will you feel and I feel and I
Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa. Oh Male, Male, Male and Rosasa.
Everybody chip, 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 chip. Get it on. Chip, 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 chip. Behind the big truck.
Jump up, back and down, jump up, back and down, jump up, back and down, jump up.
Tobago DJs, 100% Tobago announcers, 100% urban, and home of local artists. 91.9 FM now.
Bossy, Godfather, man a OG, man a half humble, man a bossy. Fling a rag a rhythm like it's all free. Bossy, house on the coast G. My money so long it doesn't know me. It's looking at my kids like I'm bossy. Bang, 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 hey.
Hey yo, Idris, tell them what they're gonna take the. When step out, do that turn up in a this. Body comfortable, and me physically fit. I'm a brown and sweet, just like the chocolate. Yo, Wiley, them ones sound like me. Other than a pretty with the okra body. Shut down in the city with me bad girl. Every man want piece of me. The back of them a pop and them a bun. Man want wine behind me have to move kind dusty. I'm looking for a brother who got hella pound. 079, baby, I'm a hammer, did you stop?
Bossy, Godfather, man a OG, man a half humble, man a bossy. Fling a rag a rhythm like it's all free. Bossy, house on the coast G. My money so long it doesn't know me. It's looking at my kids like I'm bossy.
Hey yo, Sean.
Hey, so when me spitty panny with it, maybe gala get with it. Spitty panny with it, maybe gala get. When me tappy panny with it, maybe gala get with it. Wind up your body and spin it. Girl, when you bubble, that's a trouble. Why you give me this something now? Turn it around and bring it. You're pressing it back on and if you push that button, my girl down, but I can't tame it. Once you broke out and fling it. Once your body shaking up to the limit. Once you wild out to wild it to S to the base, step London and mid and edges. Is it?
Bossy.
I came to rap it up, do my thing. Sabi put me on the gram and remixing. Hold tight Wiley with the Pacino flow. Godfather part 2, call me De Niro. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. Disrespect, man, get a slap on the chin. Man a king in a top bowl, Larry, man a big DJ, Ox, Megan and Harry. Boss, yeah, man a boss. I make your girl melt like a toasty. I'll be this way someday. And I write for myself, no ghosting.
Needs a boy got money in a bank on. Ready for roll and blaze up this tank on. Got the girls from Jamwan to Hong Kong. The girl them champion in it.
Bossy, Godfather, man a OG, man a half humble, man a bossy. Fling a rag a rhythm like it's all free. Bossy, house on the coast G. My money so long it doesn't know me. It's looking at my kids like I'm bossy. I fly around the world cause I'm bossy. Bossy, Godfather, man a OG, man a half humble, man a bossy. Fling a rag a rhythm like it's all free. Bossy, house on the coast G. My money so long it doesn't know me. It's looking at my kids like I'm bossy. I fly around the world cause I'm bossy.
Cooking up, got your own bread. Heart full of equity, you're an asset. Make sure that you don't need no mentions. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Shout out to your mom and dad for making you. Staying in ovation, they did a great job raising you. When I create, you're my muse. The kind of smile that makes the news. Can't nobody throw shade on your name in these streets. Triple threat, you a boss, you a bank, you a beast. You make it easy to choose. You got a mean touch, you can't refuse. No, I can't refuse it. Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Gorgeous, make them drop dead, you a killer. Shower you with all my attention. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Stay in the kitchen, cooking up, catch your own bread. Heart full of equity, you're an asset. Make sure that you don't need no mentions. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Already passed, you don't need no approval. Good everywhere, don't worry about no refusal. Second to none, you got the upper hand now. Don't need a sponsor, no, you're the brand now. You're my rock, my Colorado. Got that ring, just like Toronto. Love you now, a little more tomorrow. That's how I feel. Act like you know that you are. Picture perfect, you don't need no
you don't need mentions. Got them saying goals, they don't wanna be independent. Tell them to mind your business, we in our feelings. It's 50% percentage. Attention, we need commitment. We gotta both admit it. It's funny, we both listen. It's a blessing, cause we both get it. You the best thing, and I don't need a witness. I'ma find me a ring and pray it's perfect fitted. Perfect.
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Or just make them drop dead, you a killer. Shower you with all my attention. I will. Yeah, these are my only intentions. Stay in the kitchen cooking up, catch your own bread. Heart full of equity, you're an asset. Make sure that you don't need no mentions. Yeah, these are my only intentions. That's all I plan to do.
She was walking in the street, looked up and noticed he was nameless, he was homeless. She asked him his name and told him what hers was. He gave her a story about life with a glint in his eye and a corner of a smile. One conversation, a simple moment, the things that change us if we notice when we look up sometimes. They said I would never make it, but I was built to break the mold. The only dream that I've been chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line knowing they don't get to run. This goes up to the underdog. Keep on keeping it what you love. You'll find that someday, soon enough, you will rise up, yeah. Back to the kitchen, talking to the driver about his wife and his children, on a run from a country where they put you in prison for being a woman and speaking your mind. And she looked in his eyes in the mirror and he smiled. One conversation, a single moment, the things that change us if we notice when we look up sometimes. They said I would never make it, but I was built to break the mold. The only dream that I've been chasing is my own. So I sing a song for the hustlers trading at the bus stop, single mothers waiting on a check to come, young teachers, student doctors, sons on the front line knowing they don't get to run. This goes up to the underdog. Keep on keeping it what you love. You'll find that someday, soon enough, you will rise up, yeah.
I'm from Glenroe, Scarborough, Tobago, and I love listening to...
We are locked onto the street, 91.9 FM, ready to kick off Monday night's Rev at Marcel's Fitness Center.
When it comes to the real radio, we deal with the real issues, real details, real news. That's why Street 919 is the realest station.
We mean real music, real people, real vibe. Swap done with another one.
For the girl them dance and strong. If I see a girl, oh the girl good in a shade. Oh she bubble low and spread. Oh she wine low and bend. She push back and say na 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 na. She bend back and say na 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 na. She peel back and say na 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 na. She tick tock like na 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 na. Hey girl come go and do your thing. Me loving how you putting it all over the thing. In an instant girl you make your body swing. National girl like you locally ill with a whining skill. Girl take it to the end. Girl I rate you how you bend baby bend. Pop champagne cause you your money spent. Then you step with a new brand position again. The way that you whining girl properly. Girl you na na man. You're making a back on now. Girl you abnormal. The way that you whining girl properly. Girl you na na man. You're making a back on now. Girl you abnormal. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Girl, come flip it up. Incoming, girl, mash it up. When back it up, we go give you a 10, then drop it in a split, then pick it up again like na 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 na. You bend down like na 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 na. You push back like na 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 na. You tick tock like na 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 na. Hey, girl, you are the best in our life. Ever since kiss, brother, make nice eyes. Girl, you alone, I'm gonna make my choice. Special request, people, I make noise. And girl, at the end of the night, who don't like that, that's alright. The skin tone tight and a ticky like night. Jesus Christ, do it and make me feel nice. The way that you whining, girl, properly. Girl, you're not normal. You're making a back on now. Girl, you're abnormal. The way that you whining, girl, properly. Girl, you're not normal. You're making a back on now. Girl, you're abnormal. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Properly, properly, properly. Some wrong and roll that. Some for me now. In a slow motion, show them you're not normal. Some wrong and roll that. Some for me now. Show them your motion. The way that you're whining, girl. Girl, you're not normal. You're making a back on now. Girl, you're abnormal. The way that you're whining, girl. Girl, you're not normal. You're making a back on now. Girl, you're abnormal. Girl, you bad, girl, you bumbo bad. Wine up there, on my stand, girl, you want go up. Girl, I want you go down there, bumbo bad. Wine up there, girl, you stand so up, come on. Na 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 na. Me no want see no R.I.P. so protect your life, even if you walk with a little penknife. The 19 never left my side. I'ma pray every night before my shut me out.
Yo, CJ and them can't take we life. Real recognize real, we not two-faced, no. The thugs them not two-faced, no. Watch out now, let me tell you about the places, tell you about the faces, man, know. You see the things I'm do. Bad mind people, them want hurt my heart, yeah, man, know. CJ and yeah, man, know.
Yo, watch yourself in the street, young girls. Enough bad mind want see we in a hearse, dog. While we down in a mud. Me no want see no R.I.P. so protect your life, even if you walk with a little penknife. The 19 never left my side. I'ma pray every night before my shut me out.
Yo, CJ and them can't take we life. Real recognize real, we not two-faced, no. The thugs them not two-faced, no.
Big up my dear one dogs, first brat. Boy violate them get 4 clutch back. Nick pan it up, fox lock. That
on the BFC fly back. PP all family them no love shot. CJ we love rat. Me know you like that.
Me no want see no R.I.P. so protect your life, even if you walk with a little penknife. The 19 never left my side. I'ma pray every night before my shut me out.
Yo, CJ and them can't take we life. Real recognize real, we not two-faced, no. The thugs them not two-faced, no.
man I roll with vibes. This scheme just nice. Don't up become another thing twice. See Jordan pass the rum and the ice. Yo, Brad Pitt, we just living we life.
So roll out clean, and the thugs them mean. Young verse say we live in the dream. Tell them nobody try test the team. Me no want see no R.I.P. so protect your life. Even if you walk with a little pen knife. The 19 never left my side. I'ma pray every night before my shut me
Yo,
eyes.
see Jordan them can't take we life. Real recognize real, we not two-faced, nah. The thugs them not two-faced, nah.
We not two-faced now. Tell them we not two-faced now.
Hey, see Jordan, young verse, representing Money Circle. One time, show time, bang.
Amigo.
Yo, V-Man, S-Man, Hilltop, Dogman.
See Joe, everybody down there. Frost, everybody down there. Monsters out, ready up. Yeah, we living like the narcos. Cause we're real Melandro. Jerry Hunt, Galant, man, take off clothes. Cause we're real Melandros. Big like mangoes. Cause we're real Melandros. Think I drunk tripe shirt from the narcos. Come now. But we're real Melandros. New generation touchdown. Tell a boy nothing. B-I-L, M-I-L, N-I-L, fully locked down. Violate and hero sound. With my dab them, top it and mad them, and the problem solve them. Cause you don't know the lion and lioness them torment. We evil, Geneva. Whoa, they're in a band like we, and in a bad like we. B-I-L-A-G, don't take this lightly. I've run out, real militantly. Boy, job instantly. News report, uncle said him dead in front. Minutes from in fancy. Real intelligent to make me get fully done. See. Whoa, yeah, we living like the narco. Yeah, but we're real Melandro. Jerry Hot Galant, man, take off no. But we're real Melandro. Big like mango. But we're real Melandro. Think I drunk tripe shirt from the narcos. Yeah, but we're real Melandro. Listen, yeah, we make loud move silently. Though we anyway the sirens of the violence be. Money and the vibes plenty. With the thugs we left the pan real empty. Barry on a hit scene, rise up the let's see then they mash up your windscreen. Love and real badly, call with the mixed breed. Just call with the mixed breed. Whoa, get in a band like we, and in a bad like we. B-I-L-A-G, don't take this lightly. I've run out, real militantly. Boy, job instantly. News report, uncle said him dead in front. Real minutes from infancy. Real intelligent, they make me get fully done. See. Yeah, we living like the narcos. But we're real Melandro. Every hot galant man take off clothes. But we're real Melandros. Big like mangoes. But we're real Melandros. Think I drunk tripe shirt from the narcos. But we're real Melandros. But we're real Melandros. But we're real Melandros. See Joe.
Hi, this is Kimmy from Bonaccord. Whether I'm at home or at work, I like listening to 91.9 FM.
The original Popeye. That's locked on to 91.9 FM. Number one station in Tobago. Everything nice.
Na 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 na, yeah. Crystal. No. See, every time I enter a supermarket, I swear I never see so much happen. Yeah. So much sexy woman inside the effect. Is it why they give me up, but I can't playing, girl, push back and wine. When the music playing, girl, push back and wine. Behind the track, you be moving, girl, push back and wine. When the music playing, girl, push back and wine. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. I wonder why they fight the soca. Tell me. When the soca so sweet, so taking over. Tell me. It's the way them girl winding up them bumper. When the morning drops in the savannah, it's so much woman, no God, I can't believe my eyes. No, say every time I enter a soca fete, I swear I never see so much a bumper. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So much sexy woman inside the fete. Is it why they give me oh God, I can't forget, yeah, yeah. When the soca playing, girl, push back and wine. When the music playing, girl, push back and wine. Behind the track, you be moving, girl, push back and wine. When the music playing, girl, push back and wine. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 how I push back that thing, girl. Oh, 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 how I push back that thing, girl. Oh, 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 how I push back that thing, girl. Oh, oh, how I push back that. I wonder why they fight this soca. Tell me, tell me. Tell me, tell me.
If it was meant to be, I go find you. I ain't gonna end up behind you.
Jamming, they right behind you. Jamming, they right behind you.
Come, let me do it today. Let me do it today. I'm not sure to see you tomorrow. Don't tell me about tomorrow. I need it today. I go take it today. I ain't sure to get that tomorrow.
What you could do when you get this ching chong, ching chong, ching chong.
I don't know, no, no.
What you could do when bumper fling down, fling down. How you could deal with all this magic, magic, magic. When I make that bumper flick, flick, dip, dip, dip like this.
I mean, no liar, 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 liar. Girl, you make me higher, higher. I go drink champagne over fire, fire. Girl, wine and burn my desires, I now. Oh, no, no. It's not the usual, so don't get delusional. Cause you never know, cause you never know, cause you never know. So come, let me do it today. Let me do it today. I'm not sure to see you tomorrow. Let tomorrow deal with tomorrow. I need it today. I go take it today. I ain't sure to get that tomorrow. Who promised you tomorrow? Put your hands up, put your hands up. Let me dance up, dance. Hold me like you never could see me. Again, again, again.
Put your hands up, put your hands up. Let me dance up. Show me like you never was in me. Again, I wanna be happy with me. Okay, if you curse me. Since we did, we did, we did.
I wanna give the worst wine. I know it's the first time. So tell me now, baby. It could be we last day.
I never expected this, but the thing it just feels so sweet.
So sweet.
Can't believe, can't believe, can't believe, can't believe that we just meet.
Just meet.
Every time I think about your waist and the look on your face and the sketch so sticky.
Sticky, sticky.
We lock the city. You Mr. Handsome, me Miss Pretty.
You know, liar, 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 liar. You off the wire, wire. I go drink punch, chillin' over fire, fire. Hey, come burn my desire now, baby. Oh, baby. It's not the usual, so don't get delusional. Cause you never know, cause you never know, cause you never know. So come, let me do it today. Let me do it today. I'm not sure to see you tomorrow. Let
wanting all of you, yeah. Look, yeah. Tell me you want me, yeah. The lady, how you push up on me, vibe nice when everybody just a look onto me. No questions, girl, put your hand on your knees. I want you, baby, oh please. Woman, you don't know what you're doing to me. No questions, girl, push it back slowly. Girl, I'm ready, oh please, yeah. Give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah, give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah. Could it be you and me, yeah? So much potential, yeah. Could it be you and me, yeah? You are so special, oh yeah. I feel the ecstasy, keep with me forever, oh yeah. Love the way you make me feel, yeah. Oh, you push up on me, vibe nice when your body just a look onto me. No questions, girl, put your hand on your knees. Why you, baby, oh please. Woman, you don't know what you're doing to me. No questions, girl, push it back slowly. Girl, I'm ready, oh please, yeah. Give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah. Give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah. Could it be you and me, yeah? So much potential, yeah. Could it be you and me, yeah? You are so special. I know you want me lover. How you give me wine like the water? Every man here will be wire. Thinking out loud, get a wire. Everything I have is yours, girl. Tell me you want me. Oh, girl, already. Give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah. Give me wine, give me that, give me wine, oh yeah. Could it be you and me, yeah? Oh, what love is the anthem? Let's see your anthem. Let me see your anthem. Let me see your anthem. Let me see your anthem. I have love for the whole wide world with you at the center. You are the master key. If love is by my side, then who can deny me? I keep climbing higher, higher. We going down the road.
Good morning. Oh my goodness. Hey, Digest. Brand new election song for the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Good morning to all of you who are listening online, who are on my live, who are on the radio. Wake up your friends, wake up your family. This is Transformation Thursdays. And this is Tasha Grace Boris, PDP candidate for Tobago West. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for inviting me into your homes and inviting me into your cars and inviting me into your offices and wherever you may be listening. I am happy to be with you this morning. So for those of you who logged in early, you got a taste of our brand new election song, the remix of Digest, and I'll have the DJ play it a couple more times during the broadcast. This is the Street 91.9 FM. This is Transformation Thursdays. Transformation. We're talking about transforming Tobago. The Progressive Democratic Patriots has a mandate that spells out the plans that we have to transform Tobago. But that is a collaborative approach. It's not just what the party would like to do, but we're talking about what the people want. So today is the day to have that conversation. Tell me what you want to see in a transformed Tobago. Where do you want to see Tobago go in 5 years, 10 years time? Tell me your ideas. The numbers to WhatsApp me, 734-6355. That number again, 734-6355. Send me a message. Tell me good morning. But this is Transformation Thursdays. So we're talking about transforming Tobago. I want my Tobagonians to weigh in on that topic. And I also want Tobagonians living in Trinidad to weigh in on that topic because they've spent some time away from home. They may have gone out, they are living outside, or they are living in the diaspora. Wherever you are in the world, I want Tobagonians to be able to say, where do you want to see your island go? You know, you may have been exposed to first world countries and you see things that we can implement here that could work for us and that could improve our standard of living. So this is Transformation Thursdays. We want to talk about a transformed Tobago. So that number to text again is 734-6355. And later on in the program, we will be taking some calls. That number to call is 717-9591. So the morning already starts hot. You know, yesterday's program, Wake Up Wednesdays, was I must thank all of you who tuned in and those of you who watched the live after. Yesterday's live racked up 13,000 views, and I must say thank you to all of you who tuned in to listen to me and who shared the live and who came on after and, you know, contributed in the comments and that kind of thing. And it's dialogue that I want to encourage. I would encourage persons who are on my live, please just maintain the respect. People have their opinions. People are welcome to express their opinions once they are not being disrespectful. This is a time where I know that people will get their emotions running away from them. I know it will get heated, but at the same time, we all have to live here post August 10th, 2020. And I want to be able to live good with people. I want to be able to walk down the street and say hi. I want to be able to go into a bar and buy a round of drinks for somebody. I want to be able to go in the supermarket and smile and not have to pass people straight and that kind of thing, because I want us to maintain that level of respect. You know, there's this song playing in the background. I love this song. The reason why I love this song is because one of the aspects of the song speaks about love and leading in love and just always ensuring that love is at the center of what you do and love is at the center of what I do. That is why I am here. That is why I've offered myself as a candidate for the Progressive Democratic Patriots, because I love my island, I love my country, and I believe that I can make a contribution to its development. I believe that I can make a contribution to Tobago's development. So that is why we are here. Today is Transformation Thursdays, as I said. The number to text is 734-6355. I want to hear what are your plans? What are your visions? What are your dreams? What are your goals for Tobago? What would you like to see? What does a transformed Tobago look like? Yeah, so, I mean, let's have that conversation. Let's talk. But I want my DJ to play that election song again for me. I want those of you who are listening to hear me. It's a very, very catchy tune. You would find that I would kind of dance when I when I hear it. And, you know, later today, we will hopefully be joined by Mr. Watson Duke, leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. He will be on later on today with me, hopefully, and he will come to bring his brand of zest to the PDP 2 hours on the street 91.9 FM. So this is your girl, Tasha Grace Boris, PDP candidate for Tobago West. I want to be your candidate and I want to be your representative. I want that at the end of the election season that we can all say that we made the best choice for us, and I hope that I am the best choice for you. So here we are on Transformation Thursdays. DJ Mega Vibes, can you please put that song back on for a second so that we could hear that? Very, very, very excited to hear this song.
91.9 FM now.
Yo, this is Trinidad, presented for Watson Duke. Tasha B, representing Tobago East and West. Digest, PDP, feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Boom. Watson Duke coming down from north to your door, he coming strong. PDP, we on the ground, and we not running from the sun. Fixing your roof and all your drains. Tobago will never be the same. PNM is a set again. We not voting PNM again. Digest. PDP party, them is the best. Digest. Watson Duke will relieve your stress. PNM lead the place in a mess. All and the young coming out of the nest. The 10th of August to do what is best. Time to put PNM to rest. When you on the road to success, Tobago tourism will be the best, yes. Will be the best, yes. What we call that? Watson Duke. Digest. PDP party, them is the best. Digest. PDP party, them is the best. Feel the power of the Tobago fighter. 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 Will him sleep, when Tasha out on the street. Will him rest, you can beat them down in the rest. When you hit the road on the road to success, Tobago tourism will be the best, yes. Will be the best, yes. What's in you? PDP, Tasha B. Digest. Time for we to put PNM to rest. Digest. Tasha B, she is the best, yes. Feel the power. Yo, this is Trinidad presenting for PDP. What's in you? Tasha B. Beat them in the east, beat them in the west.
Well, you hear that? Digest and is starting this morning on Transformation Thursdays. Oh, that song is very, very extremely catchy. Very, very catchy. So for those of you just tuning in, this is Tasha Grace Boris, PDP candidate for Tobago West. And according to the song, that is the best in the West. That is this. So we are talking about transforming Tobago this morning. We are talking about transforming our island. We are talking about what plans, what goals, what dreams, what visions do you have to transform the island of Tobago? For those of you who are tuning in, just tuning in, I would give you the number again to WhatsApp me. That number is 734-6355. Please send me a message. We're talking about transformation. So that I would start off the conversation with the PDP mandate. So I have the PDP mandate in my possession at this time. And one of the things that I want to speak about that was written in our mandate back in 2017 was the idea of empowering our communities to take care of themselves. That is what we call our community development mandate or community development initiative. And what it does is really transform the way that communities manage themselves. No longer would we have village councils. We want to elevate village councils to the level of community councils. So we're talking about persons in the community. And we would develop a system to have these persons appointed in a free and fair and democratic manner. And the idea is that these persons would be responsible for development in each community. And they would work alongside officials in the Division of Community Development as well as in the Division of Finance. Because we envision that a PDP-led THA is going to decentralize a lot of its power into these community councils with respect to the development of at the community level. So that we want to have standard budgetary allocations for each community to drive development in communities. So we're talking about transforming our communities. We are putting the power back into the hands of the people to determine what kind of development they would like to see in their individual communities. Now, the beautiful thing about Tobago is that no one community is the same. Every community brings their own unique culture, they bring their own unique history, they bring their own unique they bring their own unique nuances. Yeah, because country people different to tongue people. Speyside people different from Roxborough people. You know, Crown Point people different from Scarborough people. People bring their own ideals and their own value system to their communities, and each community has a major selling point. The thing that has not happened is that we have not looked at our communities individually to see how we can create economic centers within these communities to be able to drive the entire Tobago economy. Now, the Tobago economy is largely a retail-based, distribution-based type economy, where we have goods coming in and they are sold back to the population, and then we have services being provided within these sectors, whether it be the tourism sector, whether it be in the private sector, other private sector businesses, and even at the level of government provides services. But we're talking about expanding the idea of having economic centers reside in our community. So let me make an example of what this can look like. Let's take the village or the community of Buku, for example. Buku is one of the most beautiful, picturesque, tourist-type towns that we have on the island. It has some of the most pristine, prime beachfront that we have on the island. And when you look at the potential that is there for Buku to evolve into the ideal tourist town, that people would leave wherever they are living, whether if they be living in Tobago or they come over from Trinidad or they come from outside, they leave wherever they are to come and spend the weekend or a couple days in Buku, because Buku has this beautiful beach. Buku has a nice quaint town. You have nice restaurants, you have your bars, you have your nightlife setup, you have your healing with horses, which is your alternative tourism type products. You have the people of the village who are able to do whatever, whether it be sweets, whether it be cuisine, whatever you have it. You have the craftsmen on the beach. You have the integrated facility where they can have goat racing, so that you have a number of things that are taking place in that little space that can encourage somebody. Yes, I want to spend a weekend away. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling drained. So I want to go to Buku. Because if you look at, for those of you who know about maracas in Trinidad, if you see maracas on a weekend, you can't move. You can't find parking, because maracas has become a sojourn that people make on a weekend basis in Trinidad. They have to go get their bacon shack. They have to go. And Maracas is not as beautiful a beach as Buku is. So you can see the potential that is there for Buku, for persons living in Buku, to really create an economic center around that tourism product that exists on that end of the island. And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at each individual community. We're looking at the strengths that they have. We're looking at their cultural history. We're looking at anything that can be used to monetize that village, so that people can come into that village for whatever reason and spend money and bring investment into the communities and empower the persons in the communities and create sustainable jobs, so that people don't have to leave where they are living to look for jobs on the outside, that there is enough employment within the community for persons who are looking for employment to be able to be gainfully employed. And in order for that to be accomplished, we need to invest at the level of our communities. And this is one of the aspects, the very important aspects of the PDP mandate, that community investment program, which means that we want to have standard budgetary allocations for each community in Tobago. So I gave Buku as an example to start. Let me give another example. I had the privilege of visiting a farm in Goldsboro, Mr. Murray's farm in Goldsboro. Good morning, Mr. Murray, if you are tuned in at this time. And, you know, he had this decent-sized plot of land, and he was growing sweet peppers in abundance. He was growing peppers in abundance. And in my mind, I'm like, well, Goldsboro has some of the best planting land in Tobago. And if we were to plant acres of peppers, and the peppers were huge, they were beautiful to look at, beautiful colors, they were healthy, the leaves were healthy, the fruit was healthy, I could talk all morning about those peppers, but it was a great product in its raw form. And I thought if we were to expand this and just focus on just pepper sauce, one product out of Brand Tobago, because in my mind I see Brand Tobago as being different things. Brand Tobago is our culture. Brand Tobago is our food. Brand Tobago is our intellectual human resource, because we have a number of brilliant minds on the island. Brand Tobago is our music. We have a lot of up and coming young musicians who are making their mark in Tobago at this time. So Brand Tobago comprises of many different aspects. So one of the aspects of Brand Tobago obviously is our food. And some of the best pepper sauce that I've tasted in my life have come from persons in Tobago. So let's just say we want to monetize this pepper sauce product. And that Goldsboro, that community there, is that community that is lock the market on pepper sauce in Tobago, because we don't want our communities competing with each other. Yeah, we want to be able to differentiate the products that are being offered in different communities, so that if it is that coming out of Goldsboro, we have the processing of these beautiful peppers into different types of pepper sauces. And the role of the THA in all of that is to ensure that the investment is put in the communities to set up the industry, to ensure that we have adequate acreage for anybody who wants to farm peppers, that we have the agro-processing facilities set up in such a way that we can immediately have the product processed up to world-class standards. And the THA's role in that is just to facilitate the export of that, the marketing and export of that product. So the people in Goldsboro would be responsible for taking that pepper from the ground, from the seedling, to the bearing fruit, to the picking of that fruit, to the sending of it to the processing facility to be processed, for it to be processed and packaged and labeled and boxed. And the only job of the Tobago House of Assembly is to ensure that we can find the markets for that product and export that product. We have a huge market in Trinidad. We have Tobagonians living in Trinidad. We have Trinidadians who love our products. We have that as a first market. We have a regional market. We have a number of persons in the small islands, Grenada and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and Barbados and these places that have family ties to Tobago, to Trinidad and Tobago, who would support our ventures. We have a huge market in the diaspora. These are the things that we want to explore, so that village of Goldsboro, when we export that product, that money, that foreign direct investment is coming back to them to continue the development of their island. This is what we're talking about. This is Transformation Thursdays, sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm going back to Tuesday. This is Transformation Thursdays. We're talking about transforming Tobago. So that idea of Brand Tobago, pepper sauce is just but one product that we can have in a slew of products that make up Brand Tobago. Not only do we just have like pepper sauces and pickled stuff and that kind of thing. We also have our sweets. I worked on the port. And every time the boat came in, the first thing most Trinidadians would do is come out of that area where they're disembarking the boat and go straight to the sweets that are being sold, whether it be the red mango, the beneball, the sugar cake, the nut cake. Tobago, they come to Tobago to buy these sweets in abundance. Why haven't we managed to monetize this product? So if it is that we have a community that has a number of people who are able to make these sweets and are able to, make them to the highest quality standard, then that is their contribution to Brand Tobago. That is what puts that community on the map. That is what we sell. So that in every product we package from Tobago, on the labeling, we could include information about the community that product came from, so that people are learning about our history. People are learning about our culture. People are learning about about the people in our communities and how we got to that point, because all of that is part of marketing. We need to monetize brand Tobago. For far too long, we have had great ideas, but nowhere to take them. We have had great ideas, but we have not been able to establish the linkages between the communities and the Tobago House of Assembly and the markets that we need to take these products to. So everybody has been in their little corner doing something. So Miss Mabel doing sweets, and Miss James, she making pepper sauce, and this one she sewing, and that one over there doing tambu bamboo, and this one over there baking dirt oven bread. But we need to come together. We need unity, because the only way that we are going to advance ourselves as a people is if we come together and understand that the goal is to get our communities going. The goal is to create sustainable employment for persons across the spectrum in our communities. This is Transformation Thursdays. I want you guys to text me. Please send me a message on 734-6355. I want to hear, what are your thoughts? What are your plans? What are your dreams? What would you like to see in Tobago? So I'm just talking about the PDPs, the Progressive Democratic Patriots, one aspect of the mandate that we wrote back in 2017, because we envision communities standing alone. We envision our communities being independent within themselves to create a stronger, more viable Tobago, more vibrant Tobago. So when you think about our electoral districts, right? We have 12 electoral districts. Even if we are able to set up economic centers, one economic center in each electoral district, you're talking about 12 economic centers being set up across 12 electoral districts in Tobago, 12 more than we have today. Because for today, we essentially have 0. And we are talking about creating economic centers that can drive our economy. We are talking about economic centers. And I mean, all of the research and these things have to be done, And that will be done, and that is being done at this time, because we have, if it's one thing Tobago has, we have the intellect on this island. That is what we have. We have the intellect on this island who are able to do the work and do it well and bring the ideas back to the table, because they will do their assessments within the communities. They would see what are the best things that we can monetize in these communities. And it might be traditional things like agriculture or fishing or these kinds of things, or it might be more innovative technology-driven type solutions. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, we must be able to say that tourism economic center that we set up in Buku is bringing in $20 million per year to the community of Buku. That economic center that we have set up in Goldsboro is bringing in $50 million per year in Goldsboro. That the economic center that we set up, or we continue, because let me correct myself, there is an economic center that is currently working in Castara. Yeah, so let me correct myself very early. There's an economic center on the tourism front that is working in Castara. So that when we collaborate, because it's not about going in there and take over, it's about, because they have been doing what they've been doing, and they've been doing it well without interference. And the thing is that the Tobago House of Assembly now has to take a facilitatory role in these things. We cannot have all our hands in the cookie jar. We cannot do everything. And there are people who are qualified to do these things, and they've been doing it well for years. We have to give people with the expertise and the experience the opportunity to get the thing working. So when we go there and collaborate with the persons in Castara to drive a further development of their economic center there, it means that we can sit and calculate that economic center in Castara is bringing in $100 million per year. That an economic center in Crown Point is bringing in $150 million per year, because Crown Point would have more of the tourism type stuff. They would have more hotels and guest houses and bars and restaurants. And when the place starts to open again, when the borders are open again, because certainly more marketing has to take place at the domestic level, because right now that is is the market that we have. We have persons in Trinidad who want to come and enjoy Tobago again. And this is an opportunity that I want Tobagonians to don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We do have issues with our customer service. I have to call a spade a spade. I live here and sometimes it's like I'm begging to spend my money right here. And all it cannot be like that. We cannot be like that. If it is that we want our island to progress, it starts with us. It starts with the individual. Whatever job you do, that is not where you may stay in life. Even if you start off as a waitress or somebody working in a store or whatever it is, that may not be your station in life. But in whatever you do, give your best. 100% of your effort, give your best. It takes nothing to smile at a customer. It takes nothing to say, good morning, sir, ma'am, how can I help you? It takes nothing to say, look, I have this product. Are you interested in that? It takes nothing. And let me tell you, as somebody who has worked in the service industry for years, first impression counts. First impression sometimes is the only impression you give. Because some of our visitors, they only have the opportunity to interact with you the one time they come to your establishment. But you know what happens? Once they have an excellent interaction, when they go back home, they're talking about you. They're saying, you know, I went to D&D surf shop and there was a young lady there and she was so nice to me. So if you're ever in Tobago, go to D&D surf shop and ask for Deandra. She gave me excellent service. And that is how you get repeat customers, and that is how you get new customers. Word of mouth is still king in marketing.
Indeed.
As much as we on social media and as much as we on to advertising and all different aspects of marketing, word of mouth is still king. And word of mouth could make you or break you. And I'm saying that COVID has presented an opportunity for us in Tobago to really step back and take stock of where we're at in terms of that tourism thrust. We are competing with islands. We are competing with territories that have to be that have tourism as their mainstay. They have it down to an art and a science. And they, right now, they are doing everything in their power to get persons to come and visit their islands. So you know, if they already had great service, they would take that service up 10 and 20 notches just to get people back. So that is why we've already started on the back foot in Tobago. We have the opportunity. We already have a built-in market in Trinidad. I'm saying to you, my Tobago brothers and sisters, we, because we have to do it, because I have to sell my island wherever I go. Let us do better. Let us treat each other better. Let us treat our visitors better. Let us show them what real Tobago love look like. Let us show them what real Tobago love look like. We can compete with the rest of the world with respect to tourism. We can. It's not for a lack of natural resources. We have some of the most beautiful beaches in the Caribbean. We have some of the most beautiful waterfalls. Our main ridge is untouched and unspoiled. We have many things going for us. But the things that we have to improve on is our service delivery. And let's take this time to work on that. Let's take out the time to examine our own biases. Because I know we bias sometimes. Somebody walks in the establishment and you watch them up and down and you tell yourself they ain't have no money. and it shows in the way that you deal with them. And I'm saying that you can't make these assumptions. Everybody who walks into your establishment is a customer, is a potential customer. Whether they buy anything or not, they are a customer, and they deserve the highest level of service that you can afford to them at that time. So we want to be able to, in our communities, we want to be able to say, look, I see Winston Pereira talking about, oh, you like my turtleneck? Oh, gosh. I saw turtle and I went to leatherback turtles because one of the conversations I was having a couple weeks ago is the fact that I don't even hear about turtle watching in Tobago.
Exactly. And that is something, lucrative.
That is a huge market that we are sleeping on.
Yep.
That during turtle nesting season, we can set up that industry and with all the protections. Because we're talking about having something that the rest of the Caribbean don't have. We have a turtle nesting site in Tobago. And we don't even have. I'm not that of any that I know of. I've not heard of any turtle watching tours.
Tashia, you know one thing. We have many NGOs that are set up here on the island geared towards community development, geared towards environmental protection and advocacy. And also we have things, just as you're talking about turtles and turtle watching, we have Save Our Sea Turtles.
Yes.
So there are people on the island with expertise pertaining to everything that you have been discussing so far. What I wanted to ask you is, do you think that there are significant gaps in the relationship between certain divisions of the Tobago House of Assembly and the members of Parliament, particularly in terms of community development, in terms of tourism? How do you think you can rectify that?
It appears that, and I mean, this is just me giving my layman opinion. Do not cuss me for it, please. It appears that there is little or no communication between the members of the Tobago House of Assembly and the MPs in Parliament. And ideally, and this is what I believe should happen, the MPs in Parliament, their primary role is really supposed to be representing the interests of the Tobago House of Assembly in the Parliament, you know, because they can't be unaware of what is taking place on the ground in Tobago, because the THA is the body that is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the island. They cannot not know what is going on in the THA, because they will not then know how to best advance the interests of Tobago at central government level. So there has to be more than just dialogue. We have to see, because people will have their different forums. The two MPs are in the highest forum in the land, which is the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And the people of Tobago have to be assured that when the MPs open their mouth to speak on whatever issue that may affect Tobago, it comes not from a personal standpoint, because when you're an MP, you cannot speak from your personal opinion standpoint. Neither are you supposed to speak from a party standpoint. You're supposed to speak from the standpoint of, I am fully aware of what is taking place on the ground in Tobago. I am fully aware that this is what the people of Tobago want. I'm fully aware of what the THA intends to do to address this issue. And if it needs the national spotlight, my role is to put the national spotlight on this thing in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. That is the job of the MP. The job of the MP is to represent the THA, because the Chief Secretary cannot stand up in Parliament and speak on behalf of Tobagonians. And even all of that probably needs to change, because the office of the Chief Secretary is the highest office in the island of Tobago. There should be provisions for that person, the person who holds that position, to at least address the Parliament ever so often. To give account of what is taking place in Tobago, because you're giving account to the nation. You're giving account to the nation. You're giving account to Trinbagonians who live outside. And maybe if that person, that office, has to do that, has to stand in the House of Parliament and speak to his or her leadership of the THA, then maybe we would take the office a little bit more seriously, right? So that the PDP is advocating, and not just advocating, we have it in place. The two persons who are aiming to represent you in Parliament from the Progressive Democratic Patriots, myself and Mr. Watson Duke, we would be the flag bearers for the Tobago House of Assembly in Trinidad. So that when a budget is read and Tobago is given its 2 paragraphs out of a 25-page document, that we as the MPs should stand up, and depending on what those 2 paragraphs say, is either we're in agreement or we're not in agreement. And I'm telling you, if we're not in agreement, they will hear the length and breadth of both of us. Right? There must be that collaboration between the offices of the members of Parliament and the Tobago House of Assembly. And I would welcome the day that I would see our future Chief Secretary, Mr. Fali Augustine, good morning, stand and address the 41 members of the lower house in Parliament and all the members of the upper house from the Senate, standing as the chief representative for the island of Tobago. I would cry on that day, because it would mean to me, if I see that, when I see that, because it will happen, that Tobago is truly side by side, that 2 truly equals 39, that we have been given our respect, that our chief servant, because that is what the chief secretary is, don't get it twisted. It is the chief servant. Anybody who is coming to you from a position of they own you, or you work for me, or you have to do what I say, that's not leadership. The chief secretary is the chief servant of Tobago. He has to advance our interests. That is what has to happen. And the day that I can see our chief servant stand in Parliament and speak on behalf of this island, I would know that a great part of my job is done. Because we would have achieved the equality of status that we have always been fighting for. And sometimes I get very, I have a range of emotions when I listen to especially Trinidadians speak about Tobago and Tobagonians, because they don't understand. They don't understand this struggle. They don't understand our history. They don't understand how it feels to be like a bastard child. They don't understand. So that when they speak from their place of Trinidadian privilege, they take so many things for granted. One simple thing they take for granted down there, the simple access to transportation. I could remember when I was going to university in Trinidad. And as late as I would study sometimes, I know that if I went out on the main road, 9 times out of 10 I go get a maxi within 5 to 10 minutes. No matter what time of day or night. There are certain places in Tobago that if you don't leave Scarborough to go there, you cannot get transportation after 8 o'clock. To this day, this is 2020, and something as simple as transportation is an issue for a number of persons who live in the countryside. That is a major issue. So that when people speak from their place of privilege, they don't understand how blessed they are to have access to some of the things they have access to. Another thing that they take for granted in Trinidad is access to private medical care. And we will talk about the healthcare system at some point in time. But in Tobago, and I had a most recent experience with this. On our very first roof repair project in Bethel, one of our workmen, he was cutting down some tree branches above the roof to be able to have the workmen come and pull up the galvanized. And he accidentally hit down a Jack Spaniard's nest. And one of the Spaniards went in his ear. One stung him in his eye got swollen, and one went down deep in his ear. And that man stayed on that roof, working on that roof, that Jack Spaniard buzzing in his ears. His eye is almost swollen shut. But because he's so committed to the team, good morning, Sherwin, my darling. That's his name, Sherwin. Right? Part of our extraction team. Good morning, extraction team. Sherwin had a Jack Spanier in his ears and one stung him in his eye. And he continued working on that roof with those guys. He only came off that roof when he couldn't take the buzzing in his ear anymore. And that was 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a holiday. And immediately I asked somebody to leave and go and see if he could go to the drugstore and get something to treat with this ear. And you know, not a drugstore was open. Not one drugstore was open at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a holiday. So it means that Tobagonians can't get injured on a holiday because your only redress is to go to the hospital and wait for 10 hours. No private doctor is open on a holiday. So that in Trinidad, anything happens to you at any time. You could waltz into West Shore, waltz into Sinclair, waltz into St. Augustine, waltz into Medical Associates. They have access to private healthcare 24/7, 365. That man had a Jack Spanier in his ear and we could not even get a syringe from the drugstore because no drugstore was open. So imagine, and that is relatively minor compared to what people may have to go to the hospital for, because the hospital is really a kind of accident and emergency thing. You want to deal with major situations there. So as simple as that happened to him, shouldn't our communities have doctors on call? Shouldn't each community have a community doctor or a team of community doctors, so that if something happens, your child gets sick, an elderly person takes ill, but it's not so serious as they may need hospital intervention, but a doctor can treat with it. Well, Mr. Pereira, the health centers were closed. Right? The health centers were closed. I want to see a Tobago where things like that would be a thing of the past, because I don't know. Suppose my friend had an allergy that we didn't know about or he didn't know about. Would he have been left to wait in the hospital for 10 hours for care? I want to live in a Tobago where things like that are a thing of the past. So we're talking about Transformation Thursdays. We're talking about transforming Tobago. So I want you guys to text me. The number to text me is 7